Yo, what up, y'all? What up, Willow?
Yo, yo, what's good, fam?
Just chilling, vibing. Can you hear me pretty well?
I can. I'm over here making sure that my levels are good. I don't know what happened last week, but when I
Yo, what's
was,
good, fam?
holy shit, hold on, my bad. I'm like sitting right in front of my computer. I'm trying to make sure we get it recorded this week. Last week when I tried to record it, none of the audio came through. It was really weird.
Oh, from when you tried to record via like your screen recording on your phone?
Nah, bro, I run it off OBS on my computer. I got like everything set up that way I can just like bring up the Twitter on the computer and then just have it run and pick up my desktop audio. But something happened last week where none of the audio got recorded. So I was like, okay. Like
Huh. Well, either way, luckily that shit saves via Twitter. I didn't record this space on Twitter just because it's a fireside schedule, so I'm just not like tripping about it. But yeah, luckily now Twitter has that to be played back at whatever point, which is super dope.
word. So like basically if anybody can just go back and find the tweet where you basically said, "Hey, we're live," they can go ahead and play the replay, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It would be cool if Twitter like built a tab, like when you go to someone's profile and you see tweets, replies, media, likes. It would be cool if there was a tab for like past spaces. So that way, like if you're a Twitter account that tweets a lot, people don't got to dig through 13, 15, 25, 30 tweets to find, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Now that would be like what you're saying, kind of like how on Instagram they got reels, they got, whatever, as
Exactly,
opposed to
bro.
regular posts. Yeah, that's a good ass idea. That would be super helpful. And it would make Twitter like I think that would put Twitter at a new kind of advantage because people would actually start to use Twitter as a resource more as instead of just like a platform, you know what I mean? A resource as far as you can come here and like this like the way we use YouTube essentially.
Absolutely, bro. 100%.
But yeah. And Discord, this sucks, but Discord is down right now. I don't know about for you guys. For me, it is. Um,
I haven't been
Drew,
on Discord, bro. I've been on the phone for like the last 45 minutes with a homie trying to help him with music NFTs, but I can imagine I feel like that shit breaks.
yeah, like more often than it should. Oddly enough, I don't know why, but it's definitely a thing.
I know a lot of people in like the NFT space, like even more specifically, that like hate Discord. And I don't know why, because
Yeah,
Discord,
I
like
know.
when you think about it as like a concept and just the tool that it can be for a community, it's like perfect.
Yeah, they hate it because they don't understand it, and that's what people admit. That's what they say. They say it's too. They think it's too busy or it's too much. It's just people don't like to sit down and learn something and have to read it. Read through some things and learn. Take 15 minutes to learn some shit. People aren't that type of. People aren't usually that. I don't know. It's weird. I've been saying the same thing. I'm like, damn, dude, this shit. Uh, Twitter is since the beginning of crypto and NFTs for me has been an amazing resource. I mean, what did I say? Twitter? I meant Discord. And I mean, even for like the NYSE, that's where I started getting on Discord was with trading stocks, and then just passing information and for any topic or for anything is super 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 efficient on Discord. I think people just
Facts.
they don't want to learn. They're intimidated by it. I guess I don't know.
Facts, bro. And what's crazy is you can do like everything that you would do on like a Zoom call. You can like voice chat. You can like all the channels and shit. I think sometimes people just get hella overwhelmed. If it's like a super poppin' Discord with a bunch of different channels and threads and shit, people just are like information overload.
Yeah, there's that too, and there's also the fact that I think a lot of people, if you've not been online for at least the past like 10 plus years, 15 plus years, you're not used to like if you go into a Discord that's like a super poppin' project that's gonna swing heavy, that's gonna be a really good play. There's a lot of like people in there who are trolling. The like the sense of humor and like the reference point for behavior is like way different. It's not like nice or anything, which I don't think like has to be or should be or whatever. But some people who like what I mean. If you weren't on 4chan, if you weren't on the internet early on when people were saying super reckless, crazy stuff, and trolling to you is offensive or makes you feel some type of way, then yeah, I can get why people don't like Discord because a lot of Discords are toxic in that regard. But hey, if you're trying to make some money, sometimes you got to fucking roll with the punches. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. Yo, what's good, Braven? Yo, shout out
Yo,
Braven.
Brady.
That's my guy. He was gassing me up yesterday with my raps, bro. I appreciate you big time, Braven, for real, man. That type of shit just gives me a little warm, fuzzy feeling inside. It makes me feel like I'm doing something right. You know what I'm saying?
There you go, for sure, for sure. We got the Omi Vivi boy in here.
That's my
We
guy
got the
right there. Got
friend.
that Superman PFP, baby. Man
Let's
of
go,
Steel.
let's go. Yeah, man. So what's up with VeVe lately? They've been cool. They got liquidity yet, or what's up with that? I know last time there's been everybody on Reddit is like shitting the bed.
Bro, the FUD is still at an all-time high, if not the highest it's ever been. But you know what they say, when people are fearful, that's when you should be greedy, and when people are being greedy, that's when you should be fearful.
Oh
Fucking,
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
what's going on with VeVe, bro, is like VeVe has like one of the coolest ideas ever, and they got like all these massive brands, and like they got the AR collectibles, and like this, that, and the third. VeVe did a terrible job at over promising and under delivering in the amount of time that we've been out. And like, I trust and believe that all of these features will be rolled out, such as the MTL, which would be the liquidity you were talking about, and getting things on Immutable X, and OMI to NFT, being able to sell our NFTs for crypto instead of the gems and then cash to fiat, and just all of these different things that they keep telling us are gonna happen. I believe that they'll happen. I think they just kind of got a little trigger happy with the community early on last year and told us a bunch of these ideas. And now that it's taken as long as it has to develop, like, dude, when they're dropping a new feature, they have to make sure that Disney's cool with it. They have to make sure DC's cool with it. They can't just move how they want with these people's IPs. And on top of that, like with the cash out thing, like people are complaining about the MTL not being there and saying that a bunch of these other platforms like Recur and Hero and all this other stuff has cash out already. Yeah, they do, but it's only in the United States. VeVe's trying to get this money transmitter license for 200 countries worldwide. So like there's just more regulations and like laws they got to abide by, and they're also not trying to have the OMI token looked at as a security. They want it to remain a utility token so they don't get in hot water with the SEC. And I believe that once the metaverse really starts to play out in the next like 3 to 5 years is when you'll really see VV thrive. And right now, dude, it's kind of just like everybody who's in here, like there's a lot of people in here. We just got to be good knowing that we're early adopters and that this shit is just going to take time. I highly, highly doubt that the biggest brands in human history all got together at the same time to rug pull us with some NFT project. You know what I mean? Like, it's just people don't really use common sense and have patience and understand that this is an emerging technology that's completely brand new to all of us. And, they're working through it as quickly as they can. It's definitely frustrating. I'm kind of broke over here right now, and my VV vault was worth as much as $89,000, bro, off like a $2,500 investment over the last year. Obviously, with the market dip lately, it's down to about $33,500. But like, still, like I would have loved to have been able to take some profit. It just kind of is what it is, though. I'm just gonna sit on my hands because I know that 89 it'll turn into more long term once the VV verse is out and these collectibles have utility, and they got these interactable DeLoreans, for example, bro. They're talking about renting collectibles. I got two of them. Does that mean that I'm going to be able to rent them out one day? People are going to want to play a racing game within the VV verse. They're going to be able to drive either the DeLorean or the Ecto One or whatever other interactive vehicle they decide to drop. For the 12,000 people that have the DeLorean, like now that's a passive income opportunity where we can just rent that shit out. So I feel like people are just being short sighted. I also feel like the meme coin revolution brought in a lot of newer investors that don't really understand cryptocurrency or investments and, things like that. So, I mean, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. I'm glad that more people are being exposed to the space, but then you get those kind of like, I don't want to call them like rookie mistakes where people are like freaking out and getting scared over things that really shouldn't scare them. But, they're just not quite looking at it with the set of eyes that they should if they've been around for a while. So, it is what it is, bro. I just try to ignore the FUD. It's everywhere these days, it seems like. But, I feel like the true VV hodlers will really make out well one day. And it's just a matter of time, dude. just trying to find other ways to provide value throughout the world and not even think about, my VV investments. Like I said, it'd be cool to take profit, but just go make some money somewhere else, bro. Just keep sitting on them hands.
Yeah, no, I feel that. That's kind of my original question with just with the way that everything's been going with VV and everything. Because like you showed me in Miami, you basically put me on, and the only thing that kept me from fucking with them initially was the fact that there was no liquidity. And my question is, like you're saying, there are people that are looking at it for like a kind of a quick flip or whatever, you know what I mean, like day to day, like NFT day trading. But also my question is, what's like the creator, like what's their timeline, because I feel like they're looking at it as long term. If you're signing with, like you said, like such major partnerships, I feel like you have a very long term vision. Like you said, it would be very unlikely that all these people came together to just uh I mean, it could be possible that VeVe and the people behind VeVe again signed a contract with all these people, promised all these big name companies uh, this, that, and the other, and they're not delivering. But for me, I feel like it seems like this is going to be like a long term thing. Like you said, people are just kind of looking at it differently.
Bro, you're absolutely 1000% correct. And I also look at like the team, the CEO, his name is David Yu. He owns an actual chain of like toy shops and like collectible stores over in, I think it's New Zealand where they're based out of. And like he built his whole career off of the collectibles industry. He had the Pokemon license when he was 17 to sell cards within his store. And on top of that, with the P word with Pokemon, the gentleman who found Pokemon, like the dude who was over at a trade show in Japan in like the late 90s. His name is Alfred Kahn, and he was working for Nintendo at the time. He came across Pocket Monsters and he fell in love, and he's like, I need to take this back to the United States. Like, this will be a hit. And at first, like, the Pocket Monster people didn't want to give him rights to the intellectual property. And him and Nintendo, they hounded them for long enough that finally they were like, you know what, we're gonna give it to you, but don't involve us in any way, shape, or form, because we don't think that it'll be a hit over in America. We don't think that it's gonna do well. Well, we all know what Pokemon turned into. I mean, this is our 26th year. Last year was the 25th anniversary. And, this gentleman, Alfred Kahn, he is the head of licensing for VeVe. So he's the dude who basically was. He was like the in for David and this other gentleman, Dan Crothers, back in 2017 when they first had this idea. They ran into Alfred at some other trade show, some collectibles trade show, and they were like, yo, this is our idea. We want to do digital collectibles on the blockchain. We have this VeVeverse idea, like all this, the whole nine yards. And he loved it and he jumped on board. And I believe that that was a big reason why VeVe was able to secure some of these licenses. They came out and said that, the Disney deal, that's been in the works since 2018. And it just finally released in November of 2021. It took that long to really just hash out the fine print, get the collectibles designed to the way Disney saw fit, and it finally went out. I mean, when I got on VeVe, they said that they had over 100 different brands. Back in like December ish, there was an AMA, and someone asked a question. They were like, "Is it safe to add a zero to that figure? Say that we have over 1,000 brands?" And they were like, "Not quite 1,000, but multiple hundreds." They're like, "We have years of content that we could drop and never repeat the same thing." So like you said, there's an extreme long-term vision, bro. And I mean, there's even been some clips recently that have dropped from like 2018, 2019, when this Alfred Kahn guy was trying to sell the vision to some of these licensors. He said, we're partnered with the same people who make Pokemon Go, which would be Niantic. He's like, we're working on our same version of that with VeVe, except you're going to go out into the real world and you're going to have the opportunity to buy collectibles at certain locations. He's like, maybe they'll be free. And even some of the other devs have talked about how VeVe, when they do a drop, they save the first 40 collectibles. They say that's for the licensors, people on the team, and for giveaways and just other things like that. one of the developers was saying how, imagine if you could be, walking around San Francisco, you go to the Golden Gate Bridge, and there's a Todd Batman in augmented reality right there by the bridge. You have your wearable glasses on, you can see the Todd Batman, and you can go up to it and interact with it. Maybe you'll get an airdrop, maybe you'll earn master collector points, maybe you'll be incentivized in some way, shape, or form. So I feel like people saw this. It's like shiny object syndrome, bro, especially with these NFTs these days. It's like people see one thing, they want to jump on it, they want to make money, and they want to dip. With something like this, with the biggest brands in the world, like I'm looking at Superman right there, like that he's one of the most popular superheroes around the world. I heard a statistic. I don't know if it's true or not. It seems a little far fetched to me, but I guess it could be true. But Superman is more known worldwide than Jesus Christ is known worldwide. So it's like, if that's the case, if there's more people that know who Superman is than who know who Jesus is, it's like, it's almost like I don't want to say it's a guarantee that, my money's safe where it's at for the time being, but like, as long as they continue to execute like they have been, and like, yeah, there's delays, but like, I'm a patient guy. Like, I don't expect the metaverse to be built by the end of this year. A lot of people are expecting the VeVe to come out. Maybe we'll see a small rendition, maybe just a little area where people can run around, see some cool little things, but I don't expect a full-fledged, metaverse for at least another like 2 to 4 years. I mean, their words were they're trying to build a Ready Player One experience. I mean, what we have now, they consider it the gift shop. And when you think of a place like Disney World, when you think of the gift shop is like maybe 500 to 1,000 square feet of the park, and then you got acres and acres of like rides and experiences and all these things to do. I think that's what's going to happen with VeVe, where you're going to have your collectibles. We can buy and sell them in the store, and people are so hooked on just getting the drop and flipping collectibles, not realizing what they're going to be able to do with these collectibles in a couple years, whether that's using Superman as your avatar, racing the DeLorean against someone in an Ecto 1, or racing the Back to the Future hoverboards, or playing a game with the Marvel Mighties and battling like Captain America versus Red Skull, or fucking Mr. Fantastic versus Doctor Doom, or just some shit like that, bro. And the possibilities I see are endless. But like you said, like the lack of liquidity has a lot of people scared, and just the FUD around things not happening as quickly as they'd like it to. Dude, I could talk about this for a fucking hour and a half. I don't want to. I
Right?
don't want to take
No,
up the whole
definitely.
FMV space.
I was gonna say when you were talking about Pokemon, it's interesting that you say that because if you remember, Nintendo and Pokemon, they've had the augmented reality, they've had the kind of AR kind of thing on lock for a
Facts.
long time now, like for at least the
Facts.
past 10 years. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like Nintendo either has something up their sleeve or they have something up their sleeve and they're really watching to see what everyone else is going to do before they make a move.
Facts, bro. And a lot of people are speculating that we could potentially have that license too. And I would love me like a Mario collectible, a Yoshi
Oh
collectible, like
man,
the
Mario
Bowser and shit.
collectibles like that go absolutely crazy because they've already been incorporated into the Nintendo games themselves.
Facts, bro. And like, that's another thing. Like, what if some of these IPs want to do some like play to earn games, or maybe drop the play to earn, just make a fucking game, but you can actually use your collectible within the game. Like, people are obsessed with these video
Yeah,
games, especially the kids these days. Like, we're just getting into that digital world where it all makes sense. So,
right. I was talking about this last night. I was kind of saying a lot of people are like not paying attention to the fact that we are living in the future right now, right? The fact that I can send you money, first of all, the fact that I can send you fiat currency, person to person, device to device is crazy. But the fact that I could send you, like on Coinbase, I mean, not on Coinbase, on Cash App, I can send you either, fiat, I can send you crypto, or I can send you a fraction of a stock, like all from my phone because I have a debit account, that has fiat currency in it. Like, that is the future, no matter like which way you cut it. It's just the fact that we've just been so kind of like desensitized to this shit. You know what I mean? We've been using debit cards so often that it's like, oh, to step it up a tiny notch doesn't really phase us, but to really step back and to look at everything, like we're living in the future. We have augmented reality. We have we have completely virtual reality with Oculus and things like that. We've got like the metaverse already in development with Sandbox, with NFT worlds, all these platforms. It's like this shit is the future. You know what I mean? We are not far from uh, what's the movie Ready Player One, like you were saying. And also, did you know
hundred
Steven
percent.
Spielberg made that movie? I had no idea that was a Spielberg film until just the other day.
Yeah, bro. Have you seen it?
Of course, I watched it last night actually.
Shit is amazing, bro. And what's crazy is that a lot of the things within Ready Player One, like the DeLoreans in there, like a lot of shit from Back to the Future, and just different characters that we have like on VeVe can be seen within Ready Player One, and it's kind of like what I believe David and Dan and the team over there at VeVe's kind of trying to model what they're doing. Obviously, like I'm not talking about full out haptic suits and like you're in this fucking like set up in your house where like you're fully virtual reality. I think that a lot of this metaverse stuff will be more augmented versus virtual reality where people are just integrating the technology with their everyday life. I because I know what it feels like when I put on an Oculus headset. I can only wear it for an extended period of time before like I got to just take it off. I got to look around at like my surroundings and things like
Right.
that. With like these Ray Bans though that Facebook's working on and just some of these new wearables that they're coming out with, I can totally see a day where like the majority of what we see in these metaverses is going to be integrated into like the actual world we're living in, where it's not so much we just sit in front of a screen stationary and just do something like that.
Right. No, so you remember in the movie when they're talking about they believe that they could, what, like purchase or have a way to, purchase like 80% of like the user's field of vision or whatever. Do you remember that part? That shit is exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
bro.
Just not in so many words, but yeah, dude, exactly. And this is a theory too. Like while I was watching this, like you ever heard of I forget who said this, but it was like, um, it was some like band like member back in the day, some like rock band. It was an interview, and this dude I forget, like I said, forget who it was. Forgive me for that, but he said something like if you want to know what's going on, just like look at the flicks. In other words, like look at the movies and basically, I feel like Hollywood introduces an idea in the movies so that when it's like implemented in real life, it's not so shocking or weird to people, you know?
A
Like if there
thousand
was no
percent, bro.
like you know what I mean? If there was no Ready Player One, or if there was no kind of contagion or whatever, like when COVID came out, people would have been like, "Yo, this is fucking crazy." But because it like literally happened like in a movie, I feel like that people were like, "Oh, people were talking about that it was like these movies and shit," but it was like it wasn't phasing people. You know what I mean? It was kind of just like, "Oh, I've seen this before. It's not so shocking." Super weird, but I
You
don't know.
spot on, bro. Hollywood is like how they introduce shit to us. I think music is another way too.
Oh, music, 100%, and that's the reason. Everybody's always talking about the like the music industry and Illuminati and blah blah blah. The reason that that is such a significant thing is because music carries influence. You know what I mean? And if thousands of people are playing like a record over and over and over again, and it's saying things, speaking whatever the record says, into existence, that's the whole reason that Sony and all these major music companies want to own masters of music is because that's the influence. If you can own the influence, you can do anything.
Facts, bro. And we all know how powerful that subconscious brain is. It's exact, bro. They just get these kids hooked on singing these stupid fucking lyrics that's just negative information. It's
Right,
destroying their spirit. It's destroying their mindset. It's like the most like depressing shit sometimes. Like, and it doesn't come across like that. It's because it's to a catchy beat. It's they got a hot hook. Like it sounds cool. It's what all your friends are listening to. But like one song that I can definitely think of. I love this song, "Go Flex" by Post Malone. Like it's kind of a sad song. He's talking about being alone and not being able to find his way and like smoking and drinking until he can't take shit anymore and like yeah, I just want to go flex, gold on my teeth and on my neck. That's like the catchy hook that reels you in. But then that whole verse, he's just talking about some depressing shit. And like, I love Posty. Like, he's a great artist. But at the same time, that subconscious programming is so strong, bro. Where if you're continually singing this song over and fucking over and fucking over, you're literally convincing your brain that that's your reality, whether you want to
right.
believe that or not. Like you're creating those neural pathways within your brain, and they're gonna fire a whole lot more often than the other ones if you're consistently listening to that type of shit. So
Right, now that's a fact, and what's interesting too is, like, no shade to any of these artists because I, like, used to listen to them heavily, but I talk about this with, my roommate a lot. Like, back when, like, Lil Peep was, like, popping, back when Juice WRLD, like, had his, like, super kind of run before he passed away, same for Peep, like, that music, I was feeling it at the time, and so it was super dope. But then after you kind of get over whatever you're feeling and transition in life, you go back to listen to that music and you're like, damn, I really can't listen to this because like you're saying, it's like, saying all these things about, you know, life being this way and that way and feeling negatively and all this shit. It's like, damn, that's not right. It's not right. You know what I mean? It's not the way that you're supposed to be living.
100%, bro. And
Like I get making music when like when you're trying to go, you know, like you're trying to get through something. Music's expression, it gets you through things. But once you're through that, you should kind of move on to something different. You know, I feel like because if you stay, like you say, you stay stuck in that kind of mode, you're never gonna progress.
facts, bro. And like with me, like real quick, just like with my personal journey as an artist, I can only think of maybe like one or two songs that I've ever put out where I was like in my bag, kind of like what you're saying with like the Lil Peep shit and like that type of music, and like XXX10, whatever, however you say his fucking name, bro. Like rest in peace to both of those cats. But like I try to always, I'm either, when it comes to me writing my music, I listen to a lot of like Royce the 5'9" and Eminem growing up, and I know that's not exactly the most positive music either, but I almost take like an aggressive stance, and I try to like not talk shit, but just like flex my skill and like uplift myself almost, and like I gas myself up in my tracks almost, and I'm saying positive things like, God gave me a voice, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna sink it to this music. I'm gonna start a revolution, spreading truth through these tunes. The only solution is look at how you living now and leave the pollution. It's easy. Try picking up a book instead of watching that TV, homie. Open up your eyes and look at everything that you're missing. Till one day you reminiscing, going all the way back is what you wishing, and that you would have listened to yourself and started the mission. Quit talking and start making a change. Everything is up to you when you playing the game. And you know the game of life is exactly the same. And if you ain't being proactive, you feeling the pain. That's the way it goes. I be here doing this work until the money flows. Like I be like I say shit like that, bro, where I'm trying to uplift myself. I'm trying to uplift the people who's listening. Like I'm not on some like woe is me, blah blah blah. Cause I what you're saying,
Yeah,
you embody that feeling, you embody that vibration and those thoughts. Like you become what you think about. You know what I'm saying?
no,
You like
totally. And
it's like if Logic's favorite artists when he was growing up were like Fitty, Royce, a little bit of Kanye sprinkled in, a little bit of arrogance, a little bit of attitude.
Yes, Farmer Drew. You know the vibes, bro.
I
no,
know
but
the vibes.
I mean, as far as it goes, like there's like I say, there's a time and place for every genre. You know what I mean? Like that these for I mean, same thing as like punk music. You know what I mean? Like shit is like sad sometimes because that's it's human. It's emotion. Like you go through things. You know what I mean? And music is a good fucking way of expression. But once you know what I mean, like once you're kind of past that, that shouldn't be what's on your playlist every day. You know what I mean? There's better ways to you know to I don't know, like to spend your
To
time
cope.
listening to things. You know what I
To
mean?
to cope. I feel like a lot
Well,
of
not
people
even to
listen to that shit
cope.
to
Like,
cope.
well, yeah, they do. Like, but you know, you got to fucking kind of feel things to go, you know, to go through them and to grow through them, essentially. But you know, I'm not like too mad at like any genre here or there. You know what I mean? I just, it's like you said, it's one thing to let music kind of be a tool to like allow you to feel and you know, but then if you again, I've said it 3 times now, but if you're past that, you know, you can listen to some other shit and you're gonna feel a lot better. You know what I mean? But to get stuck in that kind of trendy, you know, because it's like trendy right now on TikTok, all these songs and shit, these sad songs and shit, like you know, they're cool. These artists were cool people, and they did have feelings, and they were going through shit. That's why they made this music. But at the same time, I feel like on a daily basis, they were generally like pretty happy.
100%, bro. I feel like the vibrations, like I know you and
Oh
I
yeah,
have had some deep conversations too. Like vibrations are everything, bro. And like I believe in like I'm not smart with this type of shit. Like I know there's science behind it, but like the certain like hertz levels of these different like sounds, like it can really either positively or negatively affect you. And like I
right.
would love to get so smart with my music and like the production that I could create music where like the sounds that's accompanying my lyrics are those positive
Yeah,
vibrations because
that's
it
what
makes
X was
me
about, honestly. That's why I think X, I mean, people think this is crazy to say, but that's why I think X like kind of got like killed. You know, obviously people say that the people that killed him have nothing to do with the music industry and blah blah whatever, but as far as it goes, you know, he signed a record deal, you know what I mean? And you know, we know how the industry is. We know what the industry does. We know what the industry gimmick is. We know who they stand for, what they stand with.
facts.
We don't even got to talk about it. But it's like you know, that guy in the beginning, he was kind of on that same tip and then he grew up as an individual, and he wanted to do better. He used to talk, if you go listen to his interviews, he used to talk about that. He used to say, I record my music at 538 hertz at four whatever, or not 432. I feel like 432 is what it's always recorded at, and it's like not good or whatever. But X used to talk about that shit heavily, because it was something that was important to him. And a lot of people that listen to, what's odd though is like a lot of people that listen to this music, they listen to it at that, like all these Juice World songs, you can find them tuned to specific less toxic or non-toxic frequencies. What is it, 538 or 528 is like the Earth's frequency, like the frequency of love or something like that.
Yeah, bro, and that's the shit I need to get smarter about, because like I feel like some of this music out here these days, like they intentionally put it on a negative vibration. So not only are you getting that
Right.
negative subconscious message, but like you're also like getting hit with a negative ass frequency, a negative vibration that's gonna really throw you off. Like, and I believe in that heavy, because like we're all energy. That's all we are, is energy. Like
Yeah,
we're
y'all should
0.01%.
check out the podcast Broken Record. It's with Rick Rubin, the producer, and he
Oh
just
yeah.
talks to, like, I just listened to one with Win, the lead guy from Arcade Fire, and I've listened to a couple others as well, but just like going into the depths of how they record, what studio they like, how it's positioned, the sound they use for recording and whatnot. It's very, very interesting.
I'm
But yeah,
definitely gonna check that out, bro. You said it was called Broken Record?
Broken Record. Rick Rubin. I mean, I think there's one other guy who does some of the episodes. They go back and forth, but he recently interviewed Pharrell and a couple other guys too. Just going through, like, I think they're like hour long, so it's 30 minutes to an hour, so you can digest it pretty easy. And they just kind of go through like their recording process, what influenced them, yada yada yada. But yeah, man, music's pretty special. I'll still every once in a while listen to old recordings of Robert Johnson, who's like pretty much the first recorded blues player. And it sounds shitty if you just are not going to think in depth about it. But if you listen, I'm like, these are the first recordings of like
Oh yeah,
blues
bro.
guitar.
That's how I feel with
They're,
like bluegrass and shit. Like when I'm listening to old like string bean or like whatever, you hear some shit from like 1930s old grand, like first few Grand Ole Opry's and shit. You're like, oh my god, like it's not. Of course, the sound quality is not the best, but it's like, dude, this is like impeccable. To hear that people were making music like this that early on.
yeah, it's pretty incredible. And there was really nothing. There was nothing really to go on before that. I mean, obviously you had some various legendary composers in the 1800s and
Oh yeah,
whatnot,
of
but like
course.
for like blues,
Right.
and then rock, like, Robert Johnson was, what, the 20s. I think he only lived till 28, but like he was 1920s, 1930s, and then to think only a decade or two, whatever it is after that, you have Jimi Hendrix, who's just
Right. I was just
like
about to say that, dude. Like
fucking
even
shredding. It's
right.
like it's insane.
Shredding with his guitar upside down because he played lefty, but he strung it like he had a right, like a right playing guitar, but he strung it
Yeah,
upside down because he played it right side up but lefty.
yeah, and to think which that as well, but to think too, like I'm sure he had influences. I'm sure there was blues,
Oh,
maybe Robert
heavily.
Johnson, but like most of that's coming from like his soul, like his mind, which is why, like, that's why music I find is so special, good music, and that's why it
Yeah,
hits people so
totally.
hard. It's
But
like
even
that's
like
something out of nowhere that's hit, like they're creating and putting into the world.
right, and I mean looking back even as far as like like late 60s dead shows, early 70s dead shows. That's still crazy to think that this is the kind of music. And then what's even crazier, right, is like when you get into the 70s, it's like you got the blues, the funk scene, and everything that's going on, and then you've got like Metallica is out, you've got Black Sabbath, like doing this completely polar opposite sound, but it's like at the same exact kind of that I feel like that was the beginning when when music started to really really kind of diversify, as like rock and roll and blues and funk all kind of like what's the word, they just made like a sandwich, they just spread, you know what I mean, like into one another and across, you know what I mean, shit was just crazy.
If I'm not listening to like a hip hop beat, like if I'm just working around the crib, like I got hip hop beats just like playing on repeat for me to just sit there and randomly freestyle to my walls and just like keep my pen game sharp and shit. I be listening to a lot of Baroque classical music, man. because that shit is like, it's scientifically proven to like lower your resting heart rate, put you into an alpha state. It makes learning and like receiving new information a lot easier. It calms you down. It puts you into like a level state of mind and shit. And I heard that on some like podcast I was listening to from like this ultra wealthy dude that was explaining secrets of like the rich and shit. And he was like, yeah, like
Yeah,
a lot of super wealthy people, like they'll listen to a lot of Baroque classical music because of the benefits that it has on you health wise and just those frequencies and things like that. Drew brought up the composers, which is what made me think of that. But like the
yeah, definitely.
Beethovens and like the Jean Sebastian Bachs and like
hmm I remember I
people
was
like
in like
that.
sixth grade and I did a experiment on that actually, and it was about exactly what you're talking about: the music affecting your resting heart rate, the music affecting your ability to concentrate and study. And yeah, I like what did I test? I feel like I tested like hip hop, of course. I tested like rock, tested like you said, like just like classical music. And then like I feel like maybe country and maybe another. I feel like there's a few that I tested, but that was something that was always like interesting to me too because I've been into music since like I was a kid and shit. So that was interesting because that was the same conclusion my experiment came to was that classical was kind of the most beneficial in kind of every field as far as concentration,
Uh,
like you said, resting heart rate, et cetera, et cetera.
Dude, classical's phenomenal. The fact that it was, they doing that shit in the 1700s, 1800s is nuts. That classical and like lo-fi hip hop beats is all I put on when I'm on my computer or like, doing some type of work, pen and paper and whatnot. Like it just kind of puts you in a little bit of a trance. It's also
Listen to
crazy
Billy
to
Strings, baby.
the Billy Strang to go back to Robert Johnson too. It's nuts. I actually just found this out because we were talking about. I'm like, I gotta look more into him. But it's crazy that he died at 28. And I mean, I knew this about him. I mean, he died young and they thought he had the devil inside him because of the way he played the guitar. But he was poisoned at one of his shows when he was obviously 28 years old, like at this juke joint, poisoned and killed because they thought they had to get the devil out of him. Like that was less than 100 years ago.
So he he
Just
he he narrowly escaped the 27 club, but ended up dying at 28. That's fucked.
28, and just imagine if he lived like a full life, like the music he would have produced. But anyway, I mean, that's a side point, but I'm
Dude,
like, that's fucking wild.
that's what I was like. I always say about Pigpen from uh, from Grateful Dead. He died like at 27, and I'm just it's crazy to think that all these musicians who were super, 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 super fire, they die so early, and it's like seems like all of them were just getting started.
Shit, one of my favorite bands from my hometown, Leonard Skinner, pretty much the entire band died in a plane crash,
Still,
like
yeah, I'm very hip to that.
a couple years after playing Woodstock.
Yeah, I'm very hip to that. I saw Leonard Skinner in 2000, probably 11 or 12, and it was like the only well there were zero original members obviously, and the only kind of line to the original members I feel like it was who like Ronnie Van Zant I feel like was the singer, and he was obviously the brother of the original singer, but
Yeah.
I, I, I forget exactly, but it was a cool show. They're again kind of they're controversial, you know what I mean, obviously because of their like imagery and where they come from and what they kind of.
Yeah, them draping a Confederate flag 50 feet long
Yeah,
behind their stage. But
it's like fuck, but at the same time, like,
bro, they're
people
an
you can
enigma.
get.
That band's an
Oh,
enigma.
totally. Oh, totally, for sure, but history is history, bro, and that's another thing. You can't fucking cover that shit up. You gotta just be honest about that shit. And motherfuckers, you know, doing what they're doing what they're doing, and they gotta be held accountable for that shit. You know what I mean? It's not it's not up
They
to
might have
anybody else but
the
them to do that shit.
they definitely have the top three, and it might be my number one favorite like live videoed guitar solo performance, Freebird at
Oh, totally,
Woodstock.
of course. Yeah, bro.
Like just chicks out there flashing their tits, and like this dude is just shredding for 3 minutes long. Like,
I'm dead, man. Yeah, I feel
Yo,
it.
speaking of legendary artists who have passed away, I know we're about 3 hours and like 19 minutes shy, but I'll just go ahead and say an early rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. Tomorrow will
Yes,
be three
RP
years,
Nip.
unfortunately.
Man, Nip was like
it,
he was a dude that was super underrated, super like
His whole
underrated to the
career,
point where
bro.
the average, well, underrated to the point where people didn't even understand who a lot of people, first of all, didn't even really know who he was. The average listener to radio music and things like that did not know who he was. And the fact that he was so one like good at making music, and his music was so kind of, it would teach you things, it would make you feel things. It was a very kind of specific type of vibe. And he was taking care of his whole community. Nobody ever knew this shit, and it was like, it's kind of sad how what's championed is like, like you
Yo,
said, drugs and all this bullshit, and then this guy who's putting on for his whole community is not even known about.
my take on Nipsey Hussle, and I could be totally wrong. But I think he was content with not like being the
Oh,
dude
oh,
who blew
totally,
up and was the best. He's like,
definitely.
yo, I'm making money. I got record deals. I'm successful as fuck. I got the money, and all I've wanted to ever do is give back to my community, open up businesses, give people jobs, and make my little community way better. I think my opinion on it was like he was fine with where he was at.
No, I agree. Like what I'm not saying that he wanted to be champion, but what I'm saying is I feel like culture should and ought to champion people like him, because like
Oh, totally.
it's weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's super weird. Like don't get me wrong, Migos, one of my favorite artists, and collectives. Since I was a kid, and they've been going strong for almost 15 years now. But they're an artist, or again, a collective who has been championed, and it's like they got seen like making a donation at this high school for like $2,000, some super small amount of money for what they'd be making. And it's just like, damn, dude, like there's people that are literally rebuilding neighborhoods, giving people jobs and housing, taking care of people who genuinely need it. And then these guys are, oh, nice job, you gave $2,000 to a school. Not saying that that's bad, right? I don't ever want to knock any donations, right, or compare donations, but you get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Bro,
just weird
bro
how.
makes $2,000 to like spit one verse. Like, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
not bro. Hell, they throw $2,000 in one fist at the strip club. Come on now,
Facts.
be super real. And it's not to be a dick. Like I said, I don't like comparing, because like every donation is generous. But it's interesting how culture is going, and how things are kind of. You remember how like back in the day, like remember when 50 was on TV, when M was on TV, like they were like kind of, they were rappers, but they were like stand up dudes. They were always like respectful. They were always kind of cool. And if they did kind of carry some disrespect, it was kind of just like a half gimmick. Like if they were caught in real life, they were actually pretty cool or whatever. Like
It's
now it's like
it's
people are just totally different.
it's funny you bring that up too. It's like, I've had Spotify for a minute now, and I got about like 3, 4 thousand songs like saved on my Spotify account that I listen to. And majority, probably like 98% of
Uh oh,
Drew got rugged.
they're rugging Drew. Oh man, they're not letting him give his
Give
opinion
us
on
the
music.
alpha. Yeah.
God.
I think the most fucked up thing about Nip while we wait for Drew to get back is that like he
Can you hear
did
me?
so much for his community. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
you're here, bro.
All right. No, all I was saying was like I've with like saving my playlist and shit. Sorry, my girl just walked up. It's like the last
Oh
like couple
shit, busted on Spaces with the Boys.
the last couple years I haven't added shit. I'd be like I'm turning into like the old head, my dad. Like I I fuck with and there's some artists that I'll hear like new artists today or a year ago. I'm like, oh, that's dope. I like that, but it's like I don't know if it's a generational thing, or I don't know if it's like music. Some genres have just become whack, and I'm talking across the board. Like I listen to everything: country, rock, R and
You're
B,
getting old.
blues, rap. I listen to it all. I'm like, I just don't really fuck with a lot of this new stuff.
No, no, no. I feel you. I feel you. So like, I feel like half of it is kind of being the older guy who's like, "Oh, this new music sucks." But as far as it goes, right, to look how just the history, especially like you mentioned country. Like when people say, "I like everything but country," it's like, yeah, I like country. Like there's a difference between country and pop country. Like Hank Williams Jr., like Johnny Cash. You know what I'm saying? Like Charlie Daniels. That is not the same thing as you know. No offense, Luke Bryan, or like whoever. Like those dudes make cool music
Jason
sometimes, but that
Aldean.
shit's pop. Yeah, oh yo, Jason Aldean makes cool songs, but it's like
I
that's
love
pop
I love
country.
country, bro.
It's
Country's
pop
good.
country. Well, no, I like country, but pop country, I'm just saying, is a different thing. And like Drew's saying, yeah, like a lot of shit now, the evolution is just like, yeah, it's just so weird to
Bro,
see
the
music.
best the best country duo, not duo, but group ever is the Highwaymen. I don't know if y'all ever heard of them.
I've heard
They're
of them, but
cool.
I've only ever heard like one or two songs.
I like
Bro, it's
New
Willie
Riders of the
Nelson,
Purple
Johnny
Sage.
Cash, and like
You
three other
like New
dudes.
Riders? New Riders of the Purple Sage, also cool.
Oh, I've heard of them. I've heard of them.
Yeah, they made a bunch of cool jams, but music, like I said, it's just crazy how things change and how it essentially, like we always talk about, there's beautiful sides to people would hate me for saying this, but there's beautiful sides to capitalism, but there's also disgusting sides to capitalism, and this is one of those products. We talk about food and we talk about this, but music industry is another thing. Again, music has influence. If you notice, back in the day, all of the music that used to be backmasked and like kind of, everybody was very set on having masters of, Led Zeppelin, Metallica, all these old rock bands, because that's what that was what had the most influence. That's what the masses were listening to, especially the youth. And then if you notice, turn of the century, like the 2000s, hip hop culture became very, very popular. So now the Illuminati and all the weird shit, the devil shit, is in hip hop because that's what has influence. You know what I mean? It's like the reason country doesn't have people are like, oh, this country's wholesome. Look, there's no Illuminati bullshit. It's like, yeah, because nobody's listening to a lot of this shit on average. People are listening to hip hop. You know what I mean? People are listening to these other genres.
Something crazy about country though, bro. They did like a study, I think like a year or two ago. It was like 85% of the top 100 on the country charts, the drum progression and like a lot of the frequencies match the top 100 of like hip hop. And it's crazy how like
Yeah,
that genre
interesting.
is slowly starting to like model just like the formula, bro. Like I talk to a lot of people in music. I got a buddy of mine, he's my mentor. He's been rapping for over 20 years. This is the type of dude who has, A&Rs in his phone that he could call and just go do a tour around New York City on a weekend. And just, if he had a hot artist, he could get in and at least get a meeting for someone to look. And he told me, he's like, bro, there's a formula to this shit. He's like, why do you think everything you hear on the radio is about 3 minutes long? He's like, they all got either two, maybe three verses max. He's like, there's like a bridge, a hook, a chorus, bridge, hook. You know what I mean? Like there, it's a formula, and like the way they do it, like you said, it's to influence, and they found this formula, so they're gonna keep pushing the formula.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I mean, so as far as bridge, hook, chorus goes, I mean that's the formula for a song, right? Let's not get that too twisted. That's not too weird, but um, like I'm on board with what you're saying. There's definitely, like, even with Billy Strings, right? Like, this dude, he's become immensely popular in a very short amount of time. He went from playing these like smaller shows to now he's like selling out like big arena shows that are like, it's kind of crazy. And I be listening to that shit sometimes too, and I'm like, whoa. Some shit feels cool, but other shit I'm like, huh, this is weird. I'm kind of, it's just weird, dude. Like, being a skeptic, you just like never know sometimes when to stop. You're just like, shit. But yeah, I don't know. I think music is something it is totally powerful because it makes you feel things. I've listened to music. If you notice this too, if you listen to certain music, it makes you want to move a certain way. You know, certain music will make you feel kind of like aggressive. Certain music will make you want to fucking like put your middle finger up. Certain certain music will make you want to like dance happily. Sometimes like some shit will make you kind of want to dance in some weird, like, other weird ways. I don't know, dude. Like,
I agree with you, bro. It's
influence
like
is so weird.
it's like I said, I grew up on that Royce and Eminem shit. So like when I start writing, like I'm thinking Bad Meets Evil. I'm thinking like
Oh, for sure.
D12. I'm thinking like how can we like completely destroy this?
For sure. My first three albums. Want me here? I'll spill some FMV co-developer alpha. If you know, like, if type shit. But nah, I my first three albums that I ever purchased, or my mother purchased them for me because I was a child. But the first three albums I ever owned and wanted to listen to. First one, Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, Kings of Crunk. Fire, absolute fire. It's because of this. What was the single? Yeah, or no? Get Low was the single, and that was like super fire, all over the radio. Bonkers, dope album. Anyway, second album, 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying, super dope, absolutely fire. And then third album was the Eminem Show. And then when I was listening back and forth between Get Rich or Die Trying and the Eminem Show, bro, that was like the shit to me because Shady Aftermath was a thing. and it was kind of just like, damn, this is very much kind of, I was feeling it, right? Like, of course, I'm a fucking white kid, and like, like, okay, we got Eminem, he's super valid, and we got 50, who's like telling him he's valid. He's like, yo, he's like, like, what's that one song? He's like, hey, Em, you're my favorite white boy, right? I was like, I'm feeling this. This is very much what I needed to kind of bloom and be myself as a young individual. You know what I mean? That shit was very cool growing up, like especially growing up in like DC metro area. It was something that just made me feel validated as a person too. So.
I fuck with it, bro.
But
I
you see
fucks with
that
it
though?
heavy.
You see that? My music taste now is reflective of that, right? I said the first thing was Lil Jon, Kings of Crunk. That was like wilding, screaming, going crazy on the track, like fucking telling people in the club to fight and beat each other up and like crazy ass shit, And then the other shit was like raw bars, kind of feeling like stories about life, shit like that. And also being cool. That was another thing that was I always liked about 50 was he always kept it, 100% cool. He was always the cool guy.
Bro, 50 and M, they were like the biggest hip hop artists in the world when them shits came out.
Oh yeah, you remember like watching MTV Spring Break and like seeing the dudes on stage and just being like, "Yo, I can't believe it! Like these dudes are so cool." And it was like this is another thing too, right? It was kind of like this is where culture has changed. We used to kind of look at them, and we were always kind of new. We were just like fans, and yeah, we would emulate the like artists, and like if they wore their shoes this way or blah blah whatever, we would kind of do that. But it was like uh
Yep.
nobody ever wanted to be the guy on TV. It was like the guy on TV is the guy on TV, and we like him. Now it's like everybody wants to be the next big thing, and it's like, damn, bro, why can't everybody just do their own thing?
Yeah, while 50's name is still up right now, I don't know who posted it a while back. I don't know what documentary, whatever it's on, but I definitely saw it, and it was Jay-Z, like back in the early 2000s at Rockefeller, like in the office, and like telling all his artists, like, "Yo, y'all better drop your shit, all your music right now, because 50 is coming. And he's about to drop some shit."
Oh
And
That's
that's
shit, really?
amazing.
yeah, and I think that's when he dropped "Get Rich or Die Trying." I think that's the album.
Yeah,
But
2002 or
it
what?
was so cool
2003,
to see. He goes,
2004.
"Yo, like, y'all better drop your shit right now because 50 is coming this summer."
For sure. Nah, that album went crazy, bro. That was like one
Oh,
of
it's one of my
those.
favorites.
Yeah, me too. I could still sit there and listen to it from start to finish. Sing every word. Like very, very much. Just just influential to like if you were born any time where that like you were a young kid, you know what I mean, but you still understood kind of like for me I was at
Bro,
a point where I understood life but I didn't quite understand life, so it was like music was still fun. It didn't quite hit me as like moving me, but it was like there were some things where I'm like, oh, I feel that, oh, that's cool, but it was
bro,
just mostly fun.
I was an 11-year-old in the back of the school bus,
Exactly.
bobbing my head to Candy Shop, just riding the beat. Now
Yo,
I listen
now
to
that
it
was on
now, and
Massacre.
I'm like, these are the lyrics I was listening to as an
Yo,
11-year-old, like
I'm
in the back of
saying
the school
that's
bus.
another concept that's crazy.
Bro, 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 my first album that I remember owning, speaking of like some negative music, because there's some weird tracks on this album, Biggie Smalls, Ready to Die. My boy got it for me for my 12th
Fire.
birthday. And talking about just like weird shit that you're listening to on the bus as a 12-year-old, bro. Like there's a couple tracks on there where like the one I can remember vividly because he's like fucking his chick and she's like, something about like fried chicken and shit, bro. And I'll never forget that track. I'm like
What
12,
the
like
fuck?
fucking fifth grade. Like what
Oh
is
yeah, I think I know
happening
what
right?
you're talking about.
You
But that was
definitely know what I'm talking
that
about.
was
It's like,
bro. That was back. Do you remember that too? When albums would have skits, and it was like
bro,
motherfuckers would
that's
be
what
in
it
the
was.
booth
It
like
was a
making
skit.
skits. Yeah, bro. That was so. I remember like there was one on like the Kings of Crunk album, and they're like waiting for like the weed man, and the dude like one of the dudes in like the group is like taking a shit. And he's like, man, we ain't got no more weed. He's like, I only got one blunt left. And like, and then I'm a kid saying that. I have no idea what the fuck a blunt is, but I'm like, we ain't got no more weed. My mom's like, what the like? Where did you learn to say that? I'm like, oh, on this album that you bought me, mother. She's like, don't say, My mom was always cool though. She was like, listen, music, like with music and like violent video games and everything. She was like, there's a time and place for everything. If you like this music, she's like, she always told me music is expression. Music is kind of, it's made for, dancing and kind of, feeling a vibe essentially. And she was like, if you want to, listen to this, you can, but do not let me catch you saying these words out in public or around elderly people or women, or else, ass getting beats. My mom's from Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, so she's quick. She used to smack me super quick.
I feel that, bro. I grew up like being forced to listen to like country music and Christian music because my parents didn't like the way that hip hop, like the lyrics and just like the influence it had. And once I got that album from my boy, like I said, it was a birthday present. It was one of the kids I played ice hockey with. He bought it for me because he knew that I fucked with like music. He knew that like rapping was probably my thing. And like, he's like, here, I got this for you. And like, that just opened a fucking doorway, bro. Like, I was listening to fucking
Jeez.
like Trick Daddy and T.I. and fucking
Oh
Rick
yeah,
Ross and shit. And my mom's like, where are you listening? Like, what are these people saying? I'm just like,
right.
sorry, ma. Like,
She's like, you claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife, Trevor. Oh my goodness.
straight like that, bro. Shit, yo.
That's too funny, man. Not my mom would listen. My mom was a big Kid Rock fan, ironically, because she listened to a lot of like rock and like southern rock and country and some rap and shit too. My mom like Missy Elliott and a couple other like artists too that were cool. But Kid Rock, my mom, I would catch my mom even sometimes. She'd be like, damn, she'd like skip the song. Some shit would. And again, I'm a kid. I don't know exactly what, like, I can't pinpoint what. Maybe now I could go back and be like, oh, this was probably a moment. But my mom would be like, oh, shit. And she would like change the words. She'd be like, damn, this is like, this man's saying some crazy shit.
Music has crazy influence, bro, and especially like with us kids at a young age. Like thinking back, like I was pissed off when my mom and dad wouldn't let me listen to certain shit, but like now I totally get it. Like when you're a young kid, like you're so influential, you don't really like it's not that you don't understand things, but like it's hard to decipher like really knowing what's right, what's wrong. You're still growing up trying to understand the world. Like so hearing certain shit at those young ages can probably like set people down a path where like it's just not a positive path, you know what I'm saying? So I can get it, but
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Nah, I mean, I feel like you have to know your child, and I talk about this a lot, dude. I don't have any children myself, so a lot of people tell me I should like shut up, but at the same time, Uh, I feel like you can have an opinion if you know psychology to a decent degree or whatever, but you should know your child, right? Like I said, my mother was always she knew that I was able to decipher the fact that this is a video game, this is not real life, you know what I mean? This is music, it's for entertainment. And I never conducted myself in a weird way. I never was kind of a problem child. I was very much in line, you know what I mean? But there are some children who maybe, and it's neither here nor there, but some children, you might have to wait a little bit longer for that, or you might have to explain to them more in depth, like, yo, dude, like, don't, because, there's some kids who they do see video games and they're like, oh, and then they pretending outside and they're like, oh, I'm gonna effing kill you. I'm gonna shoot your head off. And you're like, yo, 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 you don't say that. That is not. Once
bro,
you turn
that's
the
my
game off, the game
nephews.
is off, and this is real life. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that's my little nephews. Like I got a 10-year-old nephew, a 6-year-old nephew, a 4-year-old nephew, a 3-year-old nephew, and like an infant baby, like 4-month-old nephew. My sister and her man went crazy. They got a full starting fucking five. But like the 4-year-old and the 6-year-old,
Damn.
when they're playing Roblox and like Minecraft and they're playing these games and shit where like you die and you respawn and you kill people and things like this, like they be saying some of the craziest shit, bro. So I know exactly what you mean where it's like you gotta look at them and be like, no, 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 no. That's not you don't say those things, bro. Like that's fucked up.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, if like while you're playing the game, it's one thing because it's like I killed you in Minecraft, but it's like don't like. There's some again like you have to know your child. Like I'm sure there's a video of this kid. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but there's a video of this kid. He's at the park and he's got this like toy gun, and he's got this kid on the ground and he's like screaming at him. He's like, "Fucking move or I'll shoot you!" Like, and you're like, "Whoa, dude!" Like this kid clearly learned that from somewhere. But if your child is going to reenact things that they see, you should not subject them to that, and you should know whether or not they are able to be. You know what I mean? You should know your child. That's what's so crazy too. Nowadays, parenting is non-existent. People just put their kids on a screen. They just give their kids to a babysitter because they got to work, which I understand. But it's like, damn, dude, if you don't know your child is going to go astray. That's how a lot of kids, not to fucking stereotype, but it's like that's how a lot of kids end up like you're talking about, taking influence from the wrong people and the wrong places, and they end up in a place where they don't deserve to be. People don't children don't deserve a lot of the shit that happens to them. You know what I mean? It's product of their parents, dude.
A lot of that shit though, bro, like I agree with you 1,000,000,000 fucking percent. And to add on to that, like a big reason is because like these quote unquote parents, they're still fucking kids themselves, bro. They never grew up. You know what I mean? Like they were having kids hella fucking young. Like they weren't grown in the world, and it was easy enough to just give their 2-year-old a fucking iPhone and say, shut up, leave mommy alone, leave daddy alone. And then, like you
Totally.
said, the world, or like the YouTube video or whatever they're fucking watching is what's raising them. And I mean, like, even when I'm around my nephews, unfortunately I don't get to spend a lot of time with them anymore because they live like 6 hours away from me. But like, I can remember times like when my oldest nephew was younger, and he would be sitting there like watching YouTube videos and shit. Like you would have to you would have to sit close by, because there's actual YouTube content creators out there that will make, like, my nephew was obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog. So he would look up Sonic videos. Well, you got these assholes out here, full grown adults, making Sonic like parody videos, but like Sonic and Amy are like talking about going and fucking each other, or
Oh
like
yeah,
like
totally. All type of
Tails and
weird shit.
Sonic are out there like killing people, or
Dude,
like
we could talk
cursing.
about that too, bro. We could talk about the algorithm with the way. So my. Sorry to cut you off, but before I lose this thought, because this is a very good talking point actually. Um, my uncle's wife was telling me about that with their children. She was like, "Have you ever, noticed or been with any like, or like have She was just asking. She was like, for instance, her son will be watching a video and it's totally innocent. It's like, like you've seen these videos where these kids like watching people open shit up. They like love watching these
Yeah,
like
bro,
like
that Lil Ryan
uh,
kid with his YouTube shit.
all sort of there's all sorts of channels. But anyway, so it'll start with something very innocent like that. They're opening up presents and it's very cool, happy for completely in line for what who the child is, their age, their cognitive ability, etc. And then after like 10 videos, all of a sudden they're watching like super like violent, like weird, like dinosaurs fighting, or like super like just morbid, weird like videos that are completely not what they're supposed to be watching. But it's like the suggested videos led them to that, knowing that what they're watching is, you know, child content, which is to me, you could be like, oh, the algorithm is acting weird, but is it? You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Nah,
super
bro,
fucking
those people
questionable.
know exactly what they're doing, and it's like you said, it's 10 videos down the line, because most of those kids are so young. They're 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. The only fucking thing they're looking at is the
The
thumbnail. They just
picture,
see
yeah,
another picture of
exactly.
Sonic. They just see another picture of Mario. They just see another picture of whatever it is they're fucking watching, and before you know it, Woody's telling Buzz to go fuck himself, and like all kinds of weird shit. Like, you know what I
Oh
mean?
God, yeah, nah, exactly. Nah, I've experienced this. And also, like, so for instance, the content that opening the things and like all this content that these people have figured out that these children like, I think that is so weird. Like, when I was in school, like in college, and I was taking like communications classes, I learned that like the government back like when like right in like the early 2000s when like like when TV and everything was really peaking, like government spent X amount of fucking billions of dollars doing tests on children watching when they would blink when they're watching and like a consuming content so that they could create the content to capture the children's mind like into the fullest extent so that they never missed a point, and then they used children's minds to market towards the parents with like all these products and having a TV show with merchandise. You know what I mean? Like a child doesn't have money, so it's like how is this product going to be purchased? Oh, through the parents, and the parents are buying product that they don't even have a fucking tie into. It's like I laugh, with the little emoji, but like it's weird, dude. Like the shit it's crazy, and people don't even think about it. They just go along, oh my kids love Paw Patrol, oh my kids love this. It's like that shit's cool, but your kids got to know that that shit is not like the end all be all. Willow, you said, before I stop real quick, you said, the screen is what's raising these kids. I think we grew up in a perfect time, whereas like, you know, you know, video games, did raise me a bit. Music did raise me a bit. That all played a very vital part, but also, my mother's relationship with me as a single mother played a massive part, right? Like going places with my mom and doing things in real life played a massive part. So it's like everything shapes you kind of, but to have that to have screens and no human interaction be your basis, I mean, it's like it's sad, bro. It makes me sad. Parents be like sick of their children. They like tell their kids to shut up, and I'm like, dude, whoa. Like my mom would never tell me to shut up. She would, she might tell me to shut up if I was acting up, but if I was just being a kid, she would be like, yeah, it's weird. Compassion is something that's scarce these days, dude.
I feel you, bro. Like my parents, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like I said, they were really they sheltered me with the music growing up, It wasn't until like middle school, high school that I started being able to listen to what I wanted. It wasn't until eighth grade going into ninth grade, or no, seventh grade going into eighth grade, when I broke my leg racing my dirt bike, then my parents finally let my aunt buy me a PlayStation 2. So like at that point I was like 12, 13 years old. It was 2003, 2004. Like that was my first experience really like with screens. Like I was only allowed an hour of TV a night. I was an outside kid, bro. I'd get home from school like and I'd be outside on my rollerblades playing hockey, or I'd be out riding my bicycle like making jumps or some shit, or I'd be playing basketball with my friends. Like I wasn't allowed on the screen because like my parents, I don't know if they like knew or if they just had like enough foresight and common sense to know that like if they left me subject to the screen, like dude, I'll never forget it, dude. Right after I got my PlayStation 2 when I broke my leg, one of my friends came over and he brought over Medal of Honor Frontline. I know a bunch of you guys probably played
Oh
that,
yeah.
bro. Like that, and like that's one of my favorite games looking back. But I can remember the first day that I was playing that game, my dad walked into my room and he saw I was in like a first person shooter game. He just fucking shook his head and he walked out. He didn't say a word. And then later that night when my friend left, he's like, so you're playing these video games where you're killing people and shit? And I'm just like, I had to explain myself. And I was like, dad, like it's just a game, like this, that, and the third. It's not real. But like he was like thinking ahead, almost like don't let that shit get to you. You're only like 13. Like this isn't real. You know what I mean?
That was also a big thing back in the '90s too, though, when the ESRB was becoming a thing. You know, like the company that rates games as far as their content. The government was saying like violent video games are going to cause an increase in murder rate and crime rate and things like that. So a lot of parents were buying into that propaganda. But like I said, dude, it all comes down to the individual. Like some, you know, again, there's some children that you have to wait a little bit longer. You know, they can't understand that this is just a game and they're going to start saying weird shit. You know, but if you have a child who is receptive, you know, to what you're telling them, then I mean, shit, you know, I don't like sheltering your kid. I feel like is the worst thing you could do, you know, because it's like you shelter a kid, they're gonna grow up, you know, to the big bad world as soon as they turn 18, and then oh shit, they get this, that, and the other thing right in their face. You know what I mean? Here we
Bro,
go.
and
We got
that's
Liddy
me
Boy.
to a
We got
T.
Liddy Boy. Let's see what Liddy Boy's gonna say because he's a father.
Let's go. Liddy Boy's the man.
All right, cool. Now we got a conversation. This is good. This is good.
Shut up.
Shit, I didn't mean to mute everyone. I was trying to emote. My bad. What up, lady boy? What you got to say
Yo, yo.
as a father?
Yo, yeah.
What do you think about it all?
I agree. I agree totally. We talk about it all the time. It's very detrimental to try to shelter your kids because the big bad world will absolutely expose them faster and in a different way than you ever intended. So, yeah, you give them the exposure so that they're properly prepared. Don't let the world
Right,
prepare them for you because
right. No, exactly, dude. If you tell your child, you know, if they ask you, hey, you know, about something that's super like morbid or brutal or kind of quote unquote inappropriate, if the first thing that they hear about it is from their parents, when they see it in real life, it's not going to shock them or traumatize them. They're going to be like, oh shit, that's that shit Dad told me about. You know what I mean? Oh shit. You know, but if you just tell your kids, oh, you'll learn when you're older, and then you never that time never comes, and all of a sudden they see some shit or experience some shit, that shit is gonna make them feel like, whoa, they're gonna feel super uncomfortable, you know?
Facts, yo. And like I feel like I feel like the way I was talking about it, I made it seem like my parents like were so straight edge and they tried to keep me away from everything like Bubble Boy, but like that wasn't the case. Like with the music, they wouldn't let me listen to certain shit, and like obviously the video games, but like I can remember being fucking 7 years old at the dinner table, bro. And my parents were talking to me about sex. You know what I mean? They did a great job. I have amazing parents. Like it wasn't like
Interesting.
they sheltered me to the point that I was like I didn't know about the real world. Like I grew up going to church and shit, and like they did a good job at preparing me for like the evil that was out there and what I could expect. But they tried their best to make sure that I wasn't exposed to it like under their watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like unnecessarily exposed. Like I get that approach
Yeah.
too. You know what I mean? But what's weird too, like you said, you sitting at the dinner table, your mom, you know, doing the birds and the bees thing. My mom, it was the weird. Like I like learned that shit just from like being at school. I feel like at the time, just being in culture, and I was a very inquisitive kid. I knew how to use the internet, you know, various things, and it was kind of like I remember straight up being at like TGI Fridays, bro, with my whole family, my whole extended family. My mom's sister's there with her husband and their kids, and like we got my grandparents are there. We got the whole family, and my uncle, who's a nephrologist, guy's like a super super smart dude. At this time, he's like owning his own practice in fucking Southern California, doing his thing, like kind of in his prime, and he like somehow I don't know why, because I feel like because me and my cousins, we're all 1 year apart. So I was like, I feel like probably maybe 8 or like, 9 years old, 8 or 9. And then my cousins are, 1 year, below respectively as they go. And so they were kind of all asking, about that kind of thing. And my mom was like, oh, you know, Chandler already knows. And I was like, or my mom or somebody, either my mom or my uncle asked me, uh, like what is sex or what does like sex mean? And I like do the little kind of motion with like the pointer finger and the okay sign. And my mom's like, and what does that mean? And I was like, and I like said, exactly what goes on. And my mom was like, see, told you he knows exactly what, and she was like, where'd you learn that? I was like, I really don't know. I was like, I kind of found out about it. Like, I just lived life, experienced, social interaction. And, you kind of just learn shit. You pay attention enough. Like, damn.
Bro, the reason why my mom was telling me that shit, I'm convinced because she knew how my dad was as a young man. So she knew that if I was gonna be anything like him, that I was really gonna love me the ladies. So like she had to prepare me at an age where like I knew what was up. Like, bro, like this makes my dad probably sound really fucking bad. But he and his friends, they had this thing when they were like 19 to like 25. They called it the home wrecking crew. They literally made fucking air spray shirts at like Ocean City, Maryland with like a broken diamond ring in it. And these dudes would go around to these fucking weddings and they would fuck these chicks, bro, like on some Wedding Crashers type shit. And like I
Oh
said,
God.
makes my dad sound terrible, but like it just like
He said
reckless.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Literally, bro.
Good
And Rolling
God.
Stones is his favorite
Papa
fucking
was
band. That's so
Papa
funny
was
you say that
fucking
shit.
Vince Vaughn. That's funny. But nah, dude. That's really funny. Cause like, like that was the thing. That was kind of a thing though, back in those days. Like nowadays if you were to do that, you would be canceled. Back in those days it was kind of
Big
like you do
canceled,
that, you're
bro.
cool. It was like, oh, these are the cool guys. It's interesting how culture changes.
And honestly, bro, thinking back on it, like totally immoral, unethical, like not cool to do.
Right.
Like
Oh, no
I
way,
would
dude.
I would never do that to any man, bro. Like, cause I know how it would feel if I knew my chick was getting slammed by
Oh
some dude.
God.
Like, so
That'd be terrible, But luckily, he said, I don't keep me a woman as of right now. I just, I just drink
you're a young
local
man, bro.
seltzers.
Stay focused on yourself, Chandler, as long as you can, bro. Like for real, for real.
Hey,
Like,
I'm only a couple years younger than you. I'm about to turn 27.
yeah, I'll be 31 this year. So like, yeah, you still halfway through your 20s, bro. You're in your prime. Like, take all that energy and just put it on yourself, bro. The right lady will come.
Not, you know, feel me.
It's funny that I don't know what's happening. Was someone talking? Did I interrupt?
Yeah, you said something about like, oh, the right woman will come, blah blah, and then I was like, I'll take that energy and put it on FMV, and then I was like, not like, and I kind of played the part, made it like I was being awkward. I'm very, I'm very much like that. I like to, like, if a situation arises, I like to, my life is like an episode of The Office.
Nah, I feel you, bro. It made me think of this Instagram reel that I saw. I think it was yesterday. And I don't know the dude's name. Black actor. He played in like House of Cards and some other shit. Um, really dope dude. But he
House of
was like
Cards.
with Kevin Spacey, like the Washington shit, like the where he ran for
What
president.
else? What else?
I don't know what else he played in, bro, but I know I've seen his face and other shit. But like the point of like the video that I saw him in, he was basically saying he's like, I feel like in my younger years, like I spent so much of my energy like chasing girls. And he's like, I don't mean like sleeping around and shit, but just like chasing that like relationship or like someone to be there for me and with me and shit like that. And he's like, that whole time, like I should have been chasing this, which was like his career and like that self-love and like maxing out his own personal life versus like looking for validation from somebody else. And I know for me, dude, like for a time in my early 20s and like even into my later 20s until I found my fiance who I'm with now, like that was the same way for me, bro. Like I was always hooked on like having a girlfriend or having a bitch that like I could count on being there, whether that was just to, smash or like just be in a relationship or something. And the amount of energy and time that I wasted that I could have put into like my craft or just being productive or making an impact somewhere else, like I lost that time that I'll never get back. So like it's just, it depends on how you look at it. Some people are completely cool, like living a comfortable life and they want somebody to share that with. Other people are like, nah, man, like I need all my energy to go out and accomplish X, Y, Z, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. So
Nah, dude. I think this is gonna bring up a really good point. I think life is. I say this all the time, but your perception on life is relative to your life experience, and I feel like people talk about leveling up in life, quote unquote, or like there's levels to this shit, blah blah, whatever. People say that often, you know, and almost as if there's like a hierarchy for existence, which there may or may not be. You can interpret that as you want, but you know, to for instance, if you take the quote unquote like corporate path, the kind of you turn 18, you either go to college or you do the military thing, that's fine. As soon as you finish that, you get married. As soon as you do that, you raise your children, and you just kind of do this regular thing. And it's like, you could do that, but like you're saying, Willow, if you spend time, those times it may have been, yeah, like obviously hindsight's always 2020. We know that from crypto and shit, but it's like looking back, you can look at that as either, yeah, you wasted time or you learned a lot of shit. Because when you're by yourself and you learn to be by yourself and shit, bro, like that's valuable. Like when you learn to kind of be careful with where you put your heart and where you put your feelings and where you put your time and your energy, that's valuable. But if you just start this life that everyone says you should do, you just start doing what society tells you to do, I feel like you miss out on a lot of shit. That's what I was talking about that Alan Watts shit. If you're just living, like what I say to Drew, I sent that to Drew and I was like, why, like, for FMV, why cultivate the garden, if you can't stop and smell the flowers? You know what I mean? Like, bro, there's something that's got to give. You know what I mean? There's got to be a point where you're appreciative and you're, you know what I mean? Like, shit is just crazy. We live in this like this society where everything is instant gratification. You know what I mean? Especially with like crypto gains, instant gains, this, that, the other thing. It's like, dude, take time to realize that life is, it, for what we understand, it's gonna go on, and if it doesn't go on, I mean, you should be enjoying it right now. If it's not gonna go on, like, it's just so like we could talk about this shit, dude, like forever, but
all we have is right now, baby.
right, 100%, and that's why we should just be, as grateful and just cool as possible, man. There's no point in uh being rude or getting angry at people and all that type of shit. It's just like, damn, we gotta just be on the same page here. Kind of hold it down, be cool. Don't have a knife at somebody's throat. Don't let someone have a knife at your throat. Respect your own boundaries. Respect everybody else's boundaries. We could talk about that shit, but that's simple. It's just weird, like you say, the way that shit's going, dude. Culture and everything.
You mentioned how like being able to spend time with yourself and like being alone is very valuable. It reminded me of a saying or like a quote that I saw. It was like, if you can share a meal by yourself, if you can go into a restaurant and sit and share a meal by yourself and nobody else, it's like you can do anything in this world.
Well, dude, that shit, that's so funny to me. Like, that's awesome, right? To me, I think that's awesome. But to me, dude, shit, you know how long I've been sitting having meals by myself? Since I was
Same,
probably
bro.
16 years old. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that to me, that's like, yeah, I mean, shit. That's why I'm always like, like mental mastery, dude. And this is a big FMV vibe. Mental mastery is like so key, bro. You could think like, oh damn, I'm gonna feel embarrassed, or people are gonna think I'm lame, or someone might think I'm ugly, or someone might think I'm a weirdo. It's like, bro, and then what? Someone thinks you're ugly, and then what? Okay, you leave, and then you never see that person again, and then boom, like you can't, like, man, life is so much like bigger and more exhilarating and enjoyable when you're uh not focused on what everyone else is thinking. It's like if you're focused on everyone else's opinion, your experience is not even yours. It's just like this nuanced fucking weirdo experience, dictated by
Bro,
another
I,
person's
I
opinion.
prefer to I prefer to go out somewhere by myself.
Yeah, me too, dude. Like, dude,
I like
do you
it.
know
And
I've been going to Olive
a
Garden
challenge
lately,
for
like by
anybody who
myself.
is worried. I love it. I love a challenge for anybody who's worried about doing that is like go out to a place, leave your phone in the car, and go have a meal and observe, maybe make a conversation, feel awkward for most of it, if you will. And yeah, and like you were saying, like if someone thinks you're weird or says this and that shit has no effect on you unless you let it affect you, which then
Right, dude.
you're letting someone else's thoughts infiltrate your brain, which then that is a sign of weakness. You need to overcome that.
Yeah, bro. I can't. When Nancy said that the other day, I thought that was so tight, and that's what's really cool. Is like that's a big contrast between American culture and a lot of other cultures. Like in so, for instance, obviously America, first world country. Excuse me. In a lot of third world countries, accountability is extremely high, especially within the individual, because people understand that in a community, especially in a village style community where there's only a few members, your personal behavior, your opinions, your outward expression, that all influences the people around you. So if you don't take accountability, if you let other people, you know what I mean? One person gets upset in a village of 10 people, sooner or later the whole fucking 10 people are pissed off and everybody, there can be no community because people, you know what I'm saying? You got to like that shit is super super interesting to me how Americans are
And
just we just are so it's like fuck the accountability. We'll place it on someone else, you know? Like very fucked up.
and not to get philosophical with it and whatnot, but we may not be living in that community. However, studies have shown that every 10,000 years, human evolution takes like a step forward. So wherever we are in that pendulum of 10,000 years taking a step forward, you know, deep down, our brain, our DNA, our genome is still very much tribal, and you see that all over the world. And you may not know about it. I may not know about it. However, that tribal feeling of being in a uh, small community is still prevalent, and that's why you see so many people gravitating to hop on whatever it is to be okay with their tribe.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well said. Lady boy, you had your hand up, brother. What you got to say? I know you
Uh,
got something good.
I was ripping the bong.
Oh, okay. He was keeping it old school, bro. See, that's how you know Liddy Boy's an OG. FMV, CCC OG. You put your hand up if you're smoking in the chat. El Guapo Cushman knows the deal. Everybody who's been here since the jump knows the deal. That's cool.
No,
I was
but
wondering that.
I will add though, like back to what Willow was saying and what we were saying, like I guess a minute ago. Like for real, me and my wife talk about it like every now and then. We'll like kind of get on the subject. Like we wish we both would have waited. One, to have relations with anybody. Because that's a big part of yourself that you're given to somebody and experiencing, physically, mentally, emotionally, the whole nine. So, we kind of think back and just, if you know, we can't, we can't exactly tell our kids what to do, but we can definitely, explain, our experiences and how, we felt, going through them and how we felt in retrospect after having gone through them and where we're at, because me and my wife, we actually met in middle school. Believe it or not, I actually proposed to her in 8th grade with the paper ring. But we went to
That's
different.
awesome,
Damn,
bro.
let's
Just gotta say
go,
that's
bro. That was some
legendary.
me shit. That was some me shit, but none of the women were loyal enough to stay with my ass.
Well, what's crazy is so we went to different high schools, and she actually held on to that ring for like ever in her wallet. I got rogue because she was calling. LOL.
Oh, I was gonna say, uh-oh.
No. So yeah, she ended up leaving her purse at like a noodles and company, and yeah, somebody stole it, and so she didn't have it. I think I was like 11th grade or whatever, and then I moved out of my mom's house. I was 18, so right after I graduated, I was like a traveling salesman. I moved down to Florida and started my little journey down there. So yeah, I turned 19 by myself in a Whiskey River in Jacksonville, Florida, restaurant.
All
Yeah,
right,
so
let's go.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I prefer to be by myself sometimes. Absolutely. It's I like to sit back and people watch. But
Right. No, dude, like I said, I've been going to the Olive Garden lately, bro. Just like getting some minestrone soup, some breadsticks, a little glass of Riesling, glass and a half, and just sit there and just chill,
Yeah.
bro. And like some people, I'm like, wow, I'd be like, wow, like I'm see a dude, and this is like me being a fucking dickhead, right? But whatever, it's all in good fun. Except people watching, I'm like, see a dude, and like he's so stressed out, with this woman or whatever, and I'm like, my brother in Christ, you chose her. I can't believe you. No, just kidding. But that shit is just, people just, it's so cool. Like some people, I'd be like, damn, that's some pure ass love. People be on a date. I'm like, oh, it's so sweet. Other people, it's like a mom and a son. The mom's talking to her son. You're failing school. Da da da. I'm like, oh damn. Like, the life is just so like pure and cool when you like experience the public like that, like on a personal level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stand by yourself.
Yeah, yeah. You get to like you get to really, I don't know, yeah, I don't know if you're like me, but you get to really thinking like, yeah, what their backstory is and what they got shit, they got all kinds of shit going on. Like, they probably just got here and shit, the check engine light was on like my shit was a couple of weeks ago. Like, they got, everybody's got, that's the crazy thing is like, I don't know, 2020, like everything happened and going through the pandemic and shit, like it really like made me slow down and realize like, because they're like people started not to give a fuck, right? Like about their job and shit like that. So just like, like people was like follow rules or follow stupid rules just arbitrarily, just stuff stopped making fucking sense. And I just like realized that there's a lot of fucking people on this planet and we all have a lot of opinions and different views and that's all based on like how we were raised and our experiences and perspectives, and it's like it's not black and white, like it's all gray and it'll never be black and white. So it's like the the biggest thing that I took away from was just like we're all humans and like and we're all just gonna act like randomly. We're all gonna act randomly. Like
Right.
it's really hard to freaking try to predict, anything. But it's like, yeah, people. Whether it comes down to incompetence or it comes down to somebody like out of malice trying to do something, like as far as like government conspiracies and stuff like that, like who knows? Like it's a little of both. Like I think just some of these people, like yeah, they have ill intentions, and then some people just don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's just it's all
Definitely.
around. We're all people. We're just all people. Like
Definitely,
I don't know,
bro.
something just like
No.
clicked because before it was just like you think of like all these positions and people have just like automated type like things that do good or do what they're supposed to do. But then you realize that like people have flaws, people make mistakes. We're literally human. Like as cliche as that sounds.
Yeah, bro. So I don't know if you've ever listened. So what you're saying, this is going to make perfect sense. I don't know if you've ever researched L. Ron Hubbard. A lot of people write the man off because of the whole Scientology thing, and the way Scientology was taken and weird shit was done to it. But as far as it goes, like initially, um, L. Ron Hubbard was big on the idea that. So he claimed. I'm not sure how true this is. A lot of people said that this dude was a little bit like kind of out there, but anyway, he claimed that he went to a lot of different kind of uh, I guess countries and continents and different walks of life, and he went to speak to people, and he found that the lowest common denominator amongst human beings is survival. We all just want to get along and survive and kind of thrive, and so Elron was very big on the idea that human beings naturally we want to relate to one another, and so we have natural influence. You know what I mean? So it's like if we are acting, kind of malicious or we're acting hostile, that is going to bring negative influence to our own community and to the people around us, and that's going to make a worse society. And sadly enough, it seems like the rulers, quote unquote, the people who are kind of in control of this whole shit right now, they know that. That's why they've got these kind of pop culture ideas, Will Smith versus blah blah whatever, and this that the other thing versus this that the other thing. It's always opposing forces, because if you can have people divided, you can conquer them, easier. Literally, what's the saying? Divide and conquer. Like it's that simple. But uh, it's just weird, man. It's sick and it's weird, but that's why we live in the FMV parallel. We just lead by example. We do our own thing. I don't even watch the news. I don't even. If it wasn't for all the memes and shit, literally memes, jokes, are how I get my news, basically. You know what I mean, or how I get tipped onto the news, and then I do my own research.
Facts, man. That's just how it be sometimes. Yo, shout out to Rocket Man in the chat. Poor gutter cats. Sorry, I'm coughing on it.
Rocket Man.
Shout out Rocket. That's
Yeah, what's
funny.
up, Rocket? Bro, let's bring Rocket up here. If you want to chat, bro, we can bring you up. I fuck with
Shout
Rocket.
out
It's always
One of the
going
best
everybody,
low.
bro.
songs.
Shout out everybody. Shout out Rocket. Shout out Art. Shout out Flanders.
Yo, Drew,
For
did you
sure. Big
see
shout
the
out to Flanders. We miss Flanders.
did you
What's
see
that,
the
Liddy?
helmet? Did you see the helmet that I won?
Nah.
Yo,
Is
I
that-
saw that, bro. That's wild.
You posted on Twitter?
Yeah. Hold on, I'll see if I can find it and post it. Yes, somebody started this like memorabilia, like I don't know, raffle type deal. It was like $20 to enter this like raffle. It was the first one I did. $20. I picked the Dolphins, and then my random team was like I don't know, the Bills or something. And yeah, no, they pulled that Tua signed Tua Eclipse.
Woo!
Yeah, hold on.
I like that.
Dude,
I
it's
like
super fire too. It's like it's not like the original colors, right? It's like an alternate type helmet.
Yeah. Let me see.
Let's just hope he takes a next step forward this year, and you don't have a second string quarterback's helmet.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's
Oh god, Drew's
like,
always coming with the shit talk. You got
Hey, I'm
to
a
bust his
Dolphins
ass
fan.
all
I'm a
the time.
Dolphins fan. He knows it.
well, no, like,
Yeah,
well,
you got to.
so he's right. Like, listen, I got it from, so like my uncle is actually the guy. It's like him and two other people started this thing here locally where they have like a bunch of memorabilia, and it's, I guess how it works is like there's 16 spots, there's 32 teams, there's 16 spots. You pay $20 for a spot. You pick a team, and then you get a random team. And then what happens is like they have all of these boxes full of like helmets signed, and they do a random number generator, and they pick whatever number corresponds with the box. And if the team that you picked happens to be the team's helmet that is in the box, then you're the one that wins. So yeah,
Fire.
it was pretty dope. So I tried it, and then I got lucky on that first pool. It's dope as fuck. So but I am listen, I am hoping. So we were talking about it though, because it might be worth, something while he's playing good, but if he's sitting the bench, then it loses value. And I'm a big Tua fan, but I'm gonna be really, really upset if he does in fact shit the bed, and we have to eat crow for the rest of our lives and move on for another,
Well,
5 years of.
that's why. I mean, that's why Teddy Bridgewater's the backup. By week 6, if he's not showing out, Teddy will be the quarterback. However, I was reading some articles and some insider info about Tom Brady looking to get out of Tampa Bay and maybe come to Miami. So
I
we'll
saw
see what's
that.
good with that. But regardless, I mean, that Tua helmet's it's legendary.
Yeah,
Heisman Trophy winner, national champion.
he has a Baker Mayfield that like lost a bunch of value like after they signed after they designed. Fuck, I'm retarded. After they signed Deshaun
You and me
Watson.
both.
Oh god. And then he has another one. He has a Cooper Cup that's signed, like somebody else signed it too. So like, but whoever it is, like Rondell Moore or whoever the fuck it was that signed it, like doesn't play for the Rams anymore. So like, it's it's like this shit is like stocks. Like it's no longer as valuable as it was when he was on the team. It's less valuable than it would be if it was just Cooper Cup alone. Like I don't know, it's crazy.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
you flip that bitch if you need to.
those could be bummers, but the biggest bummer of them all just happened a month or so ago when a dude in an auction bought Tom Brady's last touchdown football, and then the next day Tom Brady announced that he was coming back. So that $500,000 final touchdown ball is worth nothing now.
It's worth nothing.
I mean, I'm sure it's worth
Well, it's
like
A
worth.
couple
It's worth.
$100 maybe.
a couple
It's
hundred
worth
dollars.
whatever. It's worth whatever someone will pay for it, baby. Market
There you
value.
go. There you go.
Yo, to
Hey,
switch it up real
somebody
quick.
give him 600,000 just because.
To switch it up real quick, I just saw this on Netflix. We should do like everyone on here watches and then gives their synopsis of it. But on Netflix, they just released a documentary called Trust No One, and it's the hunt for the crypto king about a huge crypto, I guess, fraud. When the young founder of a collapsing cryptocurrency exchange dies unexpectedly, irate investors suspect there's more to the death that
There's a
meets
rug
the eye.
pull. It's a fake. It's a rug pull. It's a movie about
He
a rug.
faked his
Let's go.
death.
How many rug pull documentaries are we going to get in the next 10 years?
Yo,
Man,
did you guys
plenty.
see recently in the news? I think
Yes.
I tweeted it about it. Those two 20-year-old kids that are facing like 40 years each for that rug pull that they
Yeah,
fucking
you know
pulled
what's
off.
fucked up? These kids I went to fucking college with rugged these people for $4 million, bro. And they listen.
What?
So listen to this fuck shit, dude. This pissed me off so bad. This kid was always such a dick, right? Because I'm in college. I met this kid. He's from, no offense, Drew. He's from South Florida. But he, like, this dude, bro. This kid, he like was such a dick. Me and my homies, you know, I've been smoking hash. I like smoking hash. That's my thing. I've liked smoking hash for a long time. I like smoking weed. Before that, you know, but either way, THC, that's my thing. I've always liked it, you know, whatever. And this motherfucker would be doing cocaine, ketamine, Molly, every drug under the sun, you know, ordering shit off the fucking dark web before Silk Road 2 was busted. And he's like having it delivered to the campus. I'm taking like big ass dabs. He's like, "Don't you think that's excessive?" I'm like, "Bro, you're a dick." Never liked the kid. Anyway, my one homie tells me, actually, a mod in our fucking Discord, Connor Flynn. He tells me, he's like, "Bro," he's like, you know, Monty. Well, first he tells me, he's like, "This dude Monty." He's like, he's over. I'm doxing this dude. I don't give a fuck. He's like, this dude is over here. They're on a cruise right now and somewhere, you know, because they just made a bunch of money on some investments. That's how the story was relayed to him initially by all of our like college homies. And so I'm like, oh, word. You know, I figured Monty would get into crypto. He kind of seemed like the guy, dickhead, but he liked to make money, whatever. And so, you know, a few weeks pass and the fucking, you know, Connor comes back. He tells me, he's like, remember I told you Monty made a bunch of money? He's like, yeah. He's like, they rug pulled this fucking project for $4 million. He's like, and they split it $1 million each. I was like, wow, bro,
How do
what a
you get
fucking
away
bunch
with
of
shit like that
scumbags.
though?
Because there's no regulation. Like soon the fucking government's about to start regulating this shit. But like there's no regulation on this shit, dude. That's what people don't realize, dude. This crypto shit, we like for instance, when people were saying FMV was fucking, oh, what's going on and blah blah and there's weird shit happening, like people like, bro, FMV, any project can be a fucking rug, and there is no consequence to that shit unless someone really wants to take it there and go to court and provide all these documents and really, really push the line. And that's gonna take at least what, a fucking 100K at the least. You know what I mean? Like people, bro, it's sick. Like that's why all these people do this shit. But me personally, running a rug pull, bro, I would not be able to sleep at night. It's the same thing as doing credit card fraud. It's the same thing as doing like any scam. Like, yeah, bro, you came up on $16,000, right? You did some credit card fraud, but how the fuck are you sleeping at night? Now you got to go buy a bunch of clothes. You got to go eat a bunch of really nice meals because if you just put 16 bands in your fucking bank account, you know, the bank is going to be like, what is this from? You know, you had $0 before, now all of a sudden you have 16,000. Like, that doesn't make fucking sense. Your family is not rich. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Sit on that cash,
what a
baby.
boat. Man, exactly. Keep the shit out the bank.
I
I like gonna
personally
rug
don't
a
trust the banks.
Me neither, dude. The bank, like me and Willa talked about this the other day.
Facts.
Fucking the other, like a few months ago, went to go get a fucking money order for like, you know, lump sum of money. The lady's like, "Oh, you buying a car?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Uh, like it's not your business, but paying my mother back because I owe my mom some money." Like what? Like thanks for asking. Like what the fuck? Super weird. Super
Do
weird.
you
Like
want to do you want to contribute? Like,
right, hell yeah, for sure. Because I can shred this money order. We can make it half of the value, and you can pay half if you want. But nah, what the fuck? None of your business, dude. It's weird. Pay my mom back. She held me down for a minute while I was broke.
Yeah, bro, that's a deep ass conversation though. They have all those reporting regulations, and like the whole $10,000 shit is because the fucking banks are broke, bro. They really like
Yes, they
97% of
don't
our
have the
country
money.
97% of our country runs off credit, bro. There ain't shit
Oh,
back in
yeah.
it. So when too much money starts leaving their doors, they start sweating. They're like, "Why are you taking this? Like, we need
Right.
this
You
so
ever
we don't
watch
fucking
Zeitgeist?
collapse."
You ever
Oh
watch
yeah, bro.
Zeitgeist 2? The second Zeitgeist? They talk about how money, or either the first or the second. There's one that's about 9/11 and all that, and then there's the other one that's about money and how every single dollar printed is a debt owed somewhere and everything. Like that's 100% true. There's like Soldier Boy, like I said, we talked about this too, Willow. Soldier Boy made a video of him the other day. He's like, I went to Wells Fargo. He's like, and I asked them for 30 bands or whatever. He said they gave me 7,000. He was like, where the fuck? He said, if my bank account says 600,000 and I can't get 10,000, he's like, where the fuck is my money at? And I'm like, bro, it's not there. That's the thing. That shit is being borrowed, man. Like,
Yeah, so you heard you. I think it's like, I don't know. I was listening to Grant Cardone like a couple years ago, and he was talking about how like if he went to the bank and asked to get, I don't know, I think it was like $50,000. If you try to get $50,000 cash, like the bank doesn't have it, or maybe the bank does, but they're not gonna give it to you. If you're gonna get $50,000 cash, they're gonna order the fucking Brinks truck to come,
right,
and you,
exactly. Yeah.
they have to have security. Like it's a whole fucking ordeal. Like you can't just like,
Yeah. No, it's crazy, dude. It's really, but it's just the fact that, uh, the money. So that's why debit transactions can process so quickly because it's like the money's not actually there. It's just a fucking number. So it's like, boom, I move $100 from this account or $10,000 from this account to this account. Yeah, they can say that. There's no money in the bank, but hey, it's all kept. There's a ledger for it, and yeah, that money is owed to me at one point. But at the same time, that same dollar is a debt to three different people before it comes to me. You know what I mean? Like the banking system is so absolutely fucked at this point. It sucks so bad. Like it's convenient, but the reason it's convenient is because everything is debt. It's
Great
nuts.
excuse me, a great video to watch is Ray Dalio, How the Economic Machine Works. That thing fucking I've watched that thing probably like 10 times just so I could like understand completely and just not miss any little section of it, because it's like a 35-minute long video and he
yo,
doesn't stop the whole time. He just goes and he's reeling. Go ahead.
Yo, sorry, not to interrupt, but I'm gonna peace out, y'all. So just wanted to
All
say
right,
goodbye.
Drew
Love
said
you,
he's
Farm
peacing
Drew.
out.
Much love to everyone. Just as a reminder, we got the plate presentation chef and up contest still going, so spread that word. Flanders, I see you in here. I'm gonna holler at you, shoot you a text here soon. Meet up, get you some gear to distribute throughout your area. And much love to
Yeah.
everyone. We'll be talking soon.
All right, Drew. Appreciate
Love you,
you. I'll
Drew.
hold it down. We're still gonna keep it going because we're chilling. Everything's cool. Yeah, man. RP to Drew's connection. Damn. Well, not his connection, but we know what Drew's about to go into the Garden of Eden, smell the forbidden flower. No,
Yeah, he is. That's why he's like, guys, I gotta go. Like,
you about to eat the forbidden fruit? Nah, we should. Let me chill. Let me chill. But nah. Back to we can keep it on par to FMV a little bit, man. Have you guys been to like your local farmers market yet? What's the weather been like? I know it's been snowing where you're at, Willow. It's been snowing a bit here too. I'm waiting for shit to kind of get popping so we can get going.
yo, I actually just set up my some buddies bought a local farmers market, like started like a grocery store, like a local like market grocery store, and they have a property that they are
They're in
converted.
Richmond. Are you in Richmond again, or where you at?
Uh,
Oh no, you're in North Carolina, right?
no, no. I'm in Virginia. But
Okay,
yeah, they're in Petersburg. They're down in Petersburg,
okay.
and they got a farm out in Dinwiddie, and yeah, we just signed a contract to put like 20 kilowatts of solar and like 60 kW of storage to help get them going for like an off grid. They're gonna have like a whole setup out there. So, but this year they're gonna start growing tomatoes and watermelon and some cover
Let's go.
crops. but yeah, like I go there frequently to get like my veggies and stuff like that. Like the sweet potatoes are like giant. I meant to actually post a photo in the Discord the other day. I forgot, but I was gonna ask like which one of these items is like locally sourced, because like you can totally tell like the fucking sweet potatoes like fucking wow, like what's up with that sweet potato?
Yeah. No, I feel you for sure. That's tight though. That's really cool. I love a good watermelon. I don't think anybody doesn't. But no, that's super dope. I'm like I said, I've been talking about this Avaha farm spot for like the longest, but it just snowed again yesterday. Or else I would, like I said, I want to get in touch with these people and really see what they're up to because they have a vegetable share on a weekly basis, and they share heirloom genetics, which I'm sure most people know what heirloom genetics are, but heirloom genetics are generationally kept, proper genetics that have been cultivated and kind
Yeah.
of unalterated through the years. Like the average, if you go to the store and you get like some carrots or like apples or whatever, the average shit you're getting is like that's some random fucking 10 off phenotype of a fucking blah blah whatever fucking vegetable. It's like it's not like yeah, it's a carrot, but it's like to get like heirloom carrots, to get heirloom tomatoes, to get like heirloom potatoes, like all these different vegetables and things like that. It's totally different. Um, but yeah, that's dope. It's some shit I've been wanting to look into.
No, yeah,
Figured.
you said heirloom. My I have a customer of mine that has some African heirloom seeds. She wants me to till up
Ooh,
of her part of
dude.
the yard so she can plant those. Yeah, she's yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's what's crazy. So I don't know if you noticed, like on the FMV main account, we get like so much response from like African farming culture, which is super dope. And they, man, like the land there just seems like it's so much more untouched and more fertile and dope. And they be like posting amazing yields and like awesome, different types of squash and just various, vegetables and shit. It just looks so delicious. But yeah, what's up, Willow? Willow got his hand up. You smoking or what's
Nah, unfortunately, I'm not smoking, bro. I'm on another
Oh,
tolerance break. I'm on like day 5 or
what?
6 without any buds, but we're gonna get some this weekend. I do this frequently, but fucking, I had a question because we were talking about growing stuff, and I'm really excited. I know a few of you guys have probably seen the picture of like the greenhouse that I have in my backyard. I'm really excited. I've never grown anything in my life, but I'm excited to get out there and try to use that thing like this year because we're coming into spring, we're coming into summer. I just don't know anything about gardening, growing, et cetera, et cetera. My question is, if I want to start, like actually germinating some seeds and getting them ready to go in the greenhouse, with me living in the Northeast, what temperature should I wait for it to kind of consistently be before I just let them things outside full time? Because I know that I can like keep them in my house to like get them started and keep the climate somewhat controlled to where they're not like freezing at night and then like it's like shocking the plants. Like I know a little bit, but not
So I mean,
hard to.
you could plant like theoretically, depending on so you can go crazy, fucking old school with it. Look at fucking like Farmer's Almanac and like predict what the weather's going to be and shit. But like usually you can plant early spring and then harvest by like early kind of fall, or again late spring harvest late fall. Um, but yeah, like depending on what you're growing too, right? But as far as ideal temperature, I don't know specifically, but I would just wait till season. Like when you're in like peak spring, when everything's kind of settled and it's been spring steady for like a good, I don't know, even month. Because here it's hard to say though, because here, dude, like the fucking it'll be super cool, and you'll try to plant some shit, and then like it'll throw it. Sometimes it'll snow here in like in mid May. You know what I mean? So it's super hard to kind of pinpoint it, but um as far as the greenhouse goes, I feel like that's more controlled. I've never grown greenhouse myself.
What's the easiest like starter plant? Because you were saying it depends on what you're growing. Like
Tomatoes
tomatoes,
usually,
like
yeah. Tomatoes are they're pretty easy. Especially if you've got good outdoor weather. You can make a
yeah.
hanging tomato plant. It doesn't even have to be like in the ground. You can hang it on your like deck,
My mom
and
used
that
to do that shit, bro.
yeah, exactly. That's like super easy. Um, but I mean, there's that. I mean, you could do like even if you wanted to just like grow herbs, right? Just start like that. That's really small, but like you can grow herbs like in the window, You know what I mean? Which is pretty easy. Mm, that's like small. It's not like, you know, you're getting big vegetable, but it's some herbs, you know, to season some whatever you want to season with, you know. But
It would
yeah,
be
I feel
really
like the first
cool.
things that I ever grew were like, yeah, like that type of shit. When I was a kid, I grew a radish. I remember that was one of the first things. Really easy. Root vegetables are really easy to grow. You know, as long as you can get them to root to start, then you can pretty much get the plant growing. And then as long as you cultivate the plant, it'll yield something.
Word. And I know that like the FMV, like we got a lot of shit going on and a lot of things we're trying to do, but it would be cool if we had like a Discord like channel or like some tab where like it was like gardening 101 or something, and people could go like leave tips or like I'm not asking for like I remember back like a couple
Yeah,
months
we had that
ago
for a second,
when we had
halfway.
like when we had Q on one of the talks. He was talking about like he wanted to like do this like course where he taught people how to like cultivate marijuana and shit like from like start to finish, and like that would be fucking amazing. I would love that, but like I know how intensive that would be and the work involved in putting together like a 10 video course or like a like you know what I mean, of explaining all of that information to people. It's just extra work. So like
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it sucks. Q is like kind of, you know, not like his affiliation with FMV is kind of distant at this point, which it sucks. But I mean, it is what it is. Um, but no, I definitely agree. To bring education to the to the front lines is definitely what's most important. Um, we like I also like I want to get the Discord cleaned up just in general. Right now, we're kind of at a point where fucking Farmer A's got like all like if you notice in the Discord, I'm still like just FMV manager. I'm still like the community director. I don't have an admin role because we cannot we like Drew and I don't have like access directly to the Discord, which that's not like the biggest issue or whatever because we're still operating fine without that. You know what I mean? Um, roles on Discord don't mean anything compared to who's making and calling the shots in actual real life. You know what I mean? So but yeah, once we can get the Discord to where we can kind of harness it better, I can still edit and make channels and things like that. So maybe I can get into that a little bit more. But I feel like, excuse me, as far as like editing the Discord and making like read only channels versus uh, channels that you can chat in, there's a few things that we need to get back. But other than that, bro, I definitely agree. Like education is something that we really want to bring to the forefront because if not, I mean, you know what I mean? Like FMV kind of serves no purpose. Yeah, we want to be able to champion farmers and like, we got the Meta Labs build coming, we got the metaverse coming. But beyond that, we want to make that kind of make more sense, right? Like you can have a platform and people can be selling their product, but we want to be telling people, yo, this is how these people make their products, right? Not as like to make a competition for them, but just because that's what community is about, right? Like growing food, or like if you're really good at cultivating some fire ass food, you should never like hide that. You should be wanting to tell other people like, yo, this is how you do it. You know what I mean? Because like profiting, it's weird to me. There are certain things, right, that I have never like, like fucking Kanye always says, like that shit don't sit right with my spirit. Certain things, bro, profiting off of certain things does not sit right with my spirit, right? It's like I get it, like farmers got to make money, but it's like, you know, people who sell their product for a reasonable price. For instance, Farmer Jacob, his people might say his eggs are expensive, but for what they are, his eggs are priced right. It's a good quality product. It's like we to think that we're championing shit that's like so garbage and we don't question it one bit. But as soon as someone brings, oh, this is the organic blah blah, it becomes like some yuppie shit. People want to make fun of it. You know what I mean? But it's like, nah, dude, this is wholesome. This is quality. This is good for your health. You know, sensory pleasure has become more important than anything else. People want to just taste everything to taste good, everything to taste good, feel good, look good, smell good, everything for sensory pleasure. It's like it's crazy, bro. It makes me sad, but I mean, it's a real thing.
yeah, bro, I feel you. And like real quick, back to the education that you were saying, like
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
one of the biggest reasons. That was one of the biggest like reasons why I was so stoked on like joining the FMV. And like one of the biggest selling points to me is like I knew how important like the FMV ethos was to like living a physically healthy life, a spiritually healthy life, just all around, like doing good for your community, like the sustainability, the regenerative farming, like the locally sourced produce and meat and shit. That type of stuff really like excites me and interests me. I'm just not educated on it. So like I feel like you said, like if we're not educating, kind of like what's the point? We can champion these farmers, we can give them a cool spot in the metaverse to hang out, give people a way to maybe like sell some products, but like I feel like one of the big things that like the FMV stands for is helping to push that ethos and to raise awareness and to bring more people onto our boat. That way we start sailing in the direction we need to humanity wise. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. And if you notice too, like a lot of the people who like affiliate with us, their mission is to provide meals, and farm fresh food to people who are kind of underprivileged. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, like that's exactly what it's about. It's not about, me fucking having this crazy fucking schematic for growing this, that, and the other thing, and now I'm fucking capitalizing so hard. Like that's just cool or whatever. Like, if you're Mr. So and so, but really at the end of the day, bro, like I said, we live in the parallel. The F&B is about living in the parallel, living leading your life by example. And people come up to you and they're like, damn, what do you do? Like, and that'll happen, bro. If you really just be on your own kind of vibe and you are happy within yourself, you fucking eat well, and you kind of just have this natural glow, people will come up to you and ask you like, yo, what do you do? What are you into? Is it yoga? Is it this? It's like, no, man, it's being a pure individual. It's being a genuine human being and not paying attention to all the shit that's made to influence me, right?
Like Will
It's
Smith and Chris Rock.
right. Oh man, it's like for man, like there's so many talking points about that shit, but to man, like just if you're even thinking, if you're feeding into that shit beyond like being worried for humanity, then it's like, yo, because that's where me and Willow were at. It was like we're worried for humanity more than anything. We're like, bro, don't fucking talk about it. And if you talk about it, you should know that shit is all orchestrated. Don't like Hollywood is weird as fuck. It's all like, you know what I mean? Two actors at an award show for acting, and you think that shit wasn't acting? Like anyway, we don't want to talk about it, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude,
You speaking
like
truth,
this
bro.
is like people want to be like, oh, these guys who fucking do the crypto shit, they're degenerates and they're dummies. And yet your fucking biggest news is, one man slapped another man at the Oscars. Meanwhile, there's other people who are celebrities who are like, wow, if I would have done that, I would have went to jail. Like it's the dumbest, it's super dumb. It's like life is not this shallow and society is becoming this shallow. And it's like, man, I'm glad we're over here trying to do something different because everybody else, it's not throwing shade, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? If you take the bait, you take the bait. And once you get hooked, bro, you're hooked. It's real hard to get off that shit.
That's a fact, bro. You start drinking that Kool-Aid, it starts tasting good, it starts making sense,
Oh,
quote unquote, making sense. Like then all of a
right.
sudden,
And
that's
then
all
you,
you
then you
want to
make
do is,
another gallon. You pour more
yeah.
sugar. You're like, oh, it's
Oh,
sweeter.
oh, they refilled the punch bowl. Let's go get another glass.
Oh, yes, exactly. Oh, I'm taking the punch bowl home for myself because I'm just getting greedy. Like, shit just get weird, bro. Shit gets super weird. But
Look,
nah,
man, I don't know, I got kind of blasted and I was thinking we're getting really close, man. We might just end up starting a crypto country, man. I mean, what this all comes down to is
gee,
like
we just got to
we're
join with El
like,
Salvador. That'd be fire. It's like El Salvador, United States
yo,
coalition, and we just go crazy.
for real, like, hey, man, seriously. This shit's getting to the
That
point
would be fun.
where yeah, you just gotta you just everybody's building communities because we just want to surround ourselves with like-minded people because at a whole, it's yeah, it's hard to be around people that are just so fucking dense.
Right. Well, like we talked about earlier, everybody has an influence, and if people aren't on the same page, what I mean? If everybody has, in any society, right, any community, there's a reference point for behavior, right? If you're like, if let's say you're in like a punk community, it's okay to kind of be a little bit rough with somebody, and you know what I'm saying, say some shit that's a little bit vulgar, right? There's a reference point. But if you're at a golf club, there's a reference point for for behavior and shit. It's like your community has to have a reference point and everybody has to be on the same page or else there will be turmoil within the community and the shit will not progress, period. Like that's why keeping a tight circle is important. That's why it makes sense in business. That's why people do it. That's why it's successful, because people are on the same page. As soon as you have somebody trying to make it about them or put their foot into it, it's like, yo, like you're fucking straying away from the ultimate end goal here. You know what I'm saying? Like once one person, like Dr. Ed posted the other day, it was like a picture of a fucking rotten pear next to another pear that was on the vine that was slowly rotting because he was next to another pear, and he said something about like be careful who you keep next to you. because you know what I'm saying, they'll like that shit'll influence you, bro.
That
Like
shit was
people
so deep,
people think
bro.
that shit is fake, but it's so real, and that's why the government like that's why there's such a thing as food deserts. That's why there's such a thing as public housing and city sprawl and people living in areas like this. Is because if you make a community that is built to fail, they will fucking fail, and you could just wipe them off and just call them whatever. Like shit is sick, bro, and that's what society does. Like, sorry, I'm getting into it, y'all. I'm getting into it. I love
Nah,
talking
bro,
about this shit.
you speaking straight facts, bro, and like it just reminds me of the conversation I was having with my buddy before I got on the CCC Toker Talk. Young African American male, elite level rapper, and he's got an album coming out, and the acronym says "Never Ignorant, Getting Goals Accomplished." I'm a white guy, so I'll let y'all fill that in, right? That's the name of the album, and he's like on his activist shit with this, and he was explaining to me how like he feels it's his duty to be a positive voice and a positive influence for younger African American males who are stuck in those environments that you're talking about, Grateful, where like they're surrounded by drugs, they're surrounded by poverty, they're surrounded by crime, they're surrounded by police officers that don't fucking like them at all for no fucking reason other than the fact that they have a different color skin, and the stereotype behind that is that they're different people from them, so they don't like them. You know what I mean? So like, it's so true, bro, that like your environment and like where you're at and the things that you're surrounded by will end up reproducing themselves in your own life, and it'll just continue to like snowball in a way. So
Right,
you
exactly.
speaking facts, bro.
No, exactly, bro. And honestly, bro, like black culture and black America is what is like half of what's, well, I wouldn't say half, I would say more than half of what's built, America, as far as culture, as far as food, as far as music, as far as just vibes, right? It's like black America is what needs to be championed the most, and it's just so weird that people are like super, because again, bro, I like, if you know me, you follow any of my social medias or anything, I am very much anti-loyalist. I do not follow any political party. I don't think supporting anybody with your life is a good idea, because like people, a human being is a human being. People are faulty, you know what I mean? But to sit and deny any sort of thing, like you said, that like that acronym, like reclaiming culture, you know what I mean, for Black America is something that is very important and should be allowed to be done, and should be allowed to be done gracefully, and should not be made fun of or made to be demonized and shit like that. It's like, as America ages, as we shed light on the disgusting and weird shitty parts of America, we like we should allow for Black America to flourish and like, and to bloom. You know what I mean? Shit is just weird, bro. I could talk about, again, all this stuff like for often, and that's why I like to have these conversations.
Facts. Your boy's getting hella tired though. I'm probably gonna dip out here in a couple
Hey,
minutes.
it's getting past Willow's bedtime.
it's
He missed his
it,
nightly book reading. He skipped it for the
I,
conversations.
I did. It's 10 o'clock, yo.
That's cool though, bro. Like I said, I like to have these conversations, man. I really do, because it's important, dude. It's important, like I say, to live in the parallel, bro. As long as we keep doing what we're doing, everything is gonna be cool. Like, for like that whole like, we're gonna make it shit. Yeah, we all might make a bag and shit. That's cool, but like, we're all gonna make it, as far as we are gonna be okay. Like, we're gonna be safe. We're gonna be having our own food. We're gonna be having a community. We got we're here, so this shit's cool. Until they cut the fucking power off and the grids off, that shit, and that's a big theory, but that shit ain't happening, right? It's like, if the government relies on the internet, the government relies on all this shit, they're not going to cut the internet off. They're not going to cut the power off, because that's their money, you know.
Facts, bro. And like, even the theory that they would just cut it off for the public, like they couldn't, because like the government makes too much money from large corporations that relies on
Right,
money from the public. So like it's like trickle down. Like it
right, 100%. But we're cool, man. I mean, we could close it down. It's been like 2 hours. That's been a good space, I think. Long enough.
we talked about so much good stuff tonight, man. We talked about like music and influence and energy, and like we was talking about parents and like children and like
Right.
growing shit and the government
That's what
and
this fireside chats is supposed to be for. This is supposed to be the community chopping it up, really talking about things that make sense. Thought provoking conversation. That's what fireside chats is about. And then next week it's the alpha week, where we talk about what's going on with the project, and then we get into the more social stuff. But these are this is a community building kind of. Everybody shows up. We talk about what we anything. You know, we like you said, we talked about everything. If you got something on your chest you want to get off, you know, it's all good. But cool. We appreciate you, Willow. We appreciate you, Liddy Boy. Appreciate you, Art and Flanders, for listening the whole time, man. That was super dope. You guys been in here like pretty much the whole 2 hours, which is awesome. So
Art has been here the whole time, yo. Shout out
That's a
Art.
fact.
Flanders pulled up at like 8:30, so shout out Flanders. And then this other guy over here, this FMV Grateful account. This motherfucker hasn't said shit the whole time. He hasn't reacted. He hasn't done
man,
nothing, man. What the?
yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I logged on eventually halfway through with like on my laptop, so I could hopefully get some viewers from my main account. But I feel like because it wasn't on my phone, it's weird, desktop versus mobile, how it the algorithm distinguishes shit. But either way, cool. We appreciate you guys.
I
We'll see
love all of
everybody
you
next
guys.
week.